need to have her replaced.
Yeah.
Cause I was rubbing bone. We're really close to it.
Thank you guys for
Maybe that's
coming.
the accident.
Yeah, no problem.
I didn't know Andy was. I can actually keep that muted. So we set to go?
Yep.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 online, 8 with Sylvia, 9 with Lando, and there's 10 with Evan, so that's good. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. It is today on Thursday, March 13th at 4:30 p.m. I call this meeting of the Madison College Student Senate General Assembly to order. At this point, can we get a roll call?
Roll call starts now. Executive Council, President Brito,
Here I am.
VP Bao present, Vice President of Legislative Affairs Hashmi,
Present.
Vice President of Team Development Salifu,
I think she's excused today, or how did you classify that?
How do you want to? Do we get it an hour before?
Did we get an hour before?
I don't know.
We'll come back to it.
I'll look quick.
Vice President of Public Relations Jackson Winters,
Here.
Supervisor Cole,
Here.
Brock's Campus Senator Vila,
And you'll just text these present.
Senator Sierra Bronner,
Here,
Senator Rafter,
Present.
Senator Valario,
Excused.
Senator Bricues,
Present.
Senator Matson,
Present.
Senator Portillo,
I thought he's gonna be late today. His class.
Regional and Metro Campuses Senators, Portage Senator Crowder,
Present.
Reedsburg Senator Stacy Bronner,
present,
Fort Atkinson Senator Dirks,
Present.
Goodman South Senator Bissonnette,
present,
Fort Remit.
Perfect. And then Nohaya is excused too. Or. Oh, it's already said. Okay, perfect. Okay, at this point, welcome to our General Assembly meeting of the Madison College Student Senate. This is a public meeting and it'll be recorded for transparency and record-keeping purposes. We're gonna cover a few basic items before we begin. If you lose your connection at any point during the meeting, you can reconnect by clicking the link or calling the number in your original email. To senators and other members online, please activate your video and keep it on for the duration of the meeting when possible. Use the raise hand feature when you'd like to be recognized to speak, ask questions, or request a roll call vote. As chair, I'll do my best to call on committee members in the order in which hands are raised. Lowering your hand will take you out of the queue. At this point, can we pull up the meeting minutes to review? To see here, they've been formatted well, so, respect to whoever's writing those minutes. That's you, Linda. Yep, so we have our normal stuff. He did summarize stuff from our guest speaker last week. So that was, was it Sylvia? I can't remember anymore. Okay, yeah, it was Sylvia with her initiatives. Yeah, we had our normal reports, but if you scroll down to typical stuff, yes, we did talk about election marketing. Our big thing was the 3-year plan discussion. And then we had, we talked about halal food dining. Is that on there?
Yeah.
We talked about that last week.
Didn't we vote on it last week?
Did we vote on it last
Yeah, I
week?
think we voted on it last week.
Oh, wait.
Actually, I know we did.
No, it was the 27th.
Yeah, it's the week before that.
Yeah, Tina was here last week.
Yeah,
Yeah, but-
Tina was here. Okay, are these this week's minutes?
Says they are.
March?
Yeah, so just quick comment on the halal food. When it says it says it was sent to the proper people. I remember Hassan mentioning to Dr. Tina, and she got in touch with dining services. That's sort of what that means, if that makes sense. I just didn't put it in so many words.
He's understood that.
Are these the right minutes though? Because this says next meeting March. Oh, yeah, no, that's right. No, that's right. Okay. Okay, yeah. Sorry. I guess things have been going through really fast, so yeah. But okay, if that's fine with everyone. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion made by VP Tao, second by anyone, second by VP Hashmi. Any discussion on that motion? You have a question or? No, I just like, look, you're good. Okay, no, we respect, Senator Rafter's, discerning gaze. Okay, so if there's nothing, then a vote of unanimous approval, no opposition, this motion carries in 5, 4, 3, 2, we'll check online, 1, okay, nothing. Motion carries. We can pull up the agenda now. You'll see here that formatting wise, different font for textbook rental program, but that's okay. But we're having some guest speakers from textbook rental program. Public safety officers are also in the room. Normal reports, since this is a reporting meeting, and we'll talk about just brief updates on 3-year plan, elections recap with everything that's been going on. Inclusion belonging coordinator. We have a bill to just talk, like briefly mention. General Senator application. We have a person in the room, Brent West, ready to join us today. Make the speech and pitch, and then just have get some updates on the question for the presidential question forums. So with that, does that look good to everyone for an agenda?
Move to approve.
Move to approve. Do you have a second motion made by Senator Crowder and then second by Senator Rafter? I saw first. At this point, any discussion? Seeing none, we can do a vote of unanimous approval. If no one's opposed, we can pass this in 5, 4, 3, 2, non-line, 1. Okay, motion carries. Agenda passed. We can move on. Public comments, textbook rental program and affordability program. We were 6 minutes past, but I did tell you that it's going to take a little bit to pass through, but here we are. So just to introduce, we have Kim Henderson, who's the director of auxiliary services. So she's had a history working at the UW campus previously, and then coming here, so applying her expertise, and in charge of all the auxiliary services programs, things called enterprise, like the bookstore, like the cafeteria, like vending machines, and there's one other
Print
thing.
mail,
What?
printing mail.
Oh, printing
and
mail.
Central receiving
Essential receiving.
and the welcome center.
Oh, and the Welcome Center. Okay, so there's a lot there. Holly Deering is the associate director of the Madison College Bookstore. Something that's not on here because the title is very long. It's also the chair of the Textbook Affordability Committee, and I believe that you are one of the managers for the textbook rental program overall, which comes with the bookstore responsibilities. So with that, welcome to Student Senate.
Thank you.
And floor is yours.
Well, we just wanted to come and have a initial discussion with you all about raising the rental fee rate, currently at $7 a credit. And it has been that amount since the existence of the program. And so, as you probably know, or maybe you don't know, the program is really evolving and growing. It's actually developing to a program, because you know how it started, right? It just sort of was, you all had, or the Senate had an idea and it got approved and boom, it was in existence 2019.
Summer of 2019.
Yeah, and so now it truly is evolving into a program, and we're getting a better idea of expenditures and cost and what it really takes to operate that program. Ran into Kai in the hall one day.
That's how it works.
He happened to mention, were we thinking about it? And yeah, we have been, and we are thinking about it, and we are working on a proposal, but we just want to hear from you all, your take on, we don't know what the rate increase will be right now. We're still looking at that. We're doing some comparisons with other colleges, but just to get your take on how you would feel about, or if you maybe your student body would feel about a rate increase.
So I guess my first question would be, you guys said that you're looking at other colleges. Are they technical colleges that have the textbook rental program?
And college is about the same size, so
Okay,
like we didn't go to a UW-Madison.
I didn't think so. I just needed to make sure. And then my other question is, are you looking at expanding the textbook rental program at all? We had a previous senator that had talked about, what was it, art supplies?
Arts, yeah.
And then there's been students in other programs like
Language.
like my son, for example, who's in welding, I had to pay $200 for a drawing book that he didn't even use, didn't even like write in, or I should say I had to pay it. And then foreign language. So just wondering if you guys have thought about expansion, or if you could at least take some of those items down.
Yeah, we'll let We'll let Holly talk, but she's got some updates on foreign language courses. The program works where we have an adoption process, right? And faculty then adopt the book into the program. And so we're working currently with the provost and deans to get more faculty to get books into the program. So we can't just say that book will go into the rental program. There is a process in order to do that. And that's coming along, and we have increased some of those programs to have their books there, but we still have to continue to work on that. Your art question, we did meet with the art department of trying to figure out a way that we could do that. They decided they wanted to keep the process the way it was, and they would then order art kits, and then they would distribute to their students. And we would revisit that at any time that they wanted to, do that. I'm sorry, I'm
Do you know
horrible
if
with
the fees
names.
are included with the, is it a separate fee then for the students?
I think so. I think they're
For the
charged,
art,
yeah,
I believe it was separate.
yeah. But I can't remember the gentleman's name who retired. But when he retired and then they hired a new person, they wanted her to sort of get acclimated into the process. And then we said we could always go back to the drawing board if they wanted to do something different. But I'll let Holly talk about the foreign classes.
Yes. And then quick question on the welding. Was it the Schultz Blueprint reading book?
Yes.
So I'm not for sure if the instructors were supposed to communicate out to the students. I actually worked with the lead instructor on that book because they switched editions because we could no longer get the super old edition. And the price went up like $150. And so we actually worked with the lead instructor and worked to get that book into the rental program. So instructors were supposed to communicate to the students to bring the receipt in. We would refund for the purchase of the book and then issue a rental book.
Okay, well, it's from last semester. We'll bring it in.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Sounds good. Right. When you come in, just ask for, I'm off next week, but just ask for Holly and
Okay.
I can help you with that. So yes, because that book was so astronomical, we did work out, came to agreement with the faculty that they would put any of the drawings in the LMS system and then rent the book, and that they would no longer write in the book.
I appreciate that. And he did not write in that book. He better not have lost it.
Sorry, we can always look up the receipt. Sorry, I just wanted to circle back to that. And yes. Oh, continue. Oh, no, you're okay. So for the foreign language, we have been working with Mary Height and Felipe regarding the access code for the foreign language department. And so they did explore some other publisher options, including some OER options as well. And they still felt that Vista was the best fit for them. We've been working with Vista to see if we can lower that fee by doing inclusive access. So the fee would be attached to the tuition and course fees for Spanish and French. By doing inclusive access, it should lower the price of that access code by about 10 to 15%. So we're still in negotiations with Vista, and they're working on a contract, which that contract would have pricing and terms for 1 academic year.
Can you define inclusive access,
Yeah,
please? I'm sorry.
so it is digital courseware, and it includes your ebook. So instead of getting a physical access code, inclusive access is where the fee is attached to the course, and then it's day one access within your LMS system, whether it's Blackboard or Brightspace D2L. So students would just go in, click on their Spanish or French course within the LMS system, and then everything is there. So they don't have to come and purchase a physical access code from the bookstore and then go through the steps of redemption. They can just go into the LMS system, click their course, and access their digital courseware, including their ebook. By doing that, because there's no overhead, because publishers don't have to send us anything physical, and we're able to do more contract negotiations because there's like a guaranteed number of enrollment, we're able to bring that pricing down some. Ideal situation, of course, would be that what they would choose would have fit into the rental program. However, as of this point in time, that is not the case, but at least we can get that price lowered some. But yes, I believe you had a question.
Hi, my name is Nevaeh Jackson Winters. I'm Vice President of Public Relations, and my question is today, is there a particular reason thought of why, to, increase.
Decrease the fees.
Increase the fee.
Well, as I said, the program's growing, right? And so, and we're seeing an increase in prices for books. As she had indicated about inclusive access, some of those obviously are not in the rental program. So we're working tirelessly to bring some cost savings to the students when they get their course materials. But everything is continuing to grow as far as pricing. And so just be able to continue to operate the program, which is evolving, relatively large, that we're even looking to sort of restructure the program, because it doesn't necessarily sit in the back room of the bookstore anymore, which is where the staff are, that's where their offices are. But the program is just, it's beeping out of leaps and bounds from where we were when we first started this program. So in order to be able to cover some of those costs, raising the rate for the fee is just the one way of doing it. We are an enterprise, and an enterprise means that we don't receive any state funds. So we're not part of the general fund. We're basically self-supporting. So the revenue that we generate in my auxiliary services have to support the service. Dining services is another one, print and mail, there's some 100. But we do, so we have to be able to continue to grow the program and move it in a direction, because it's shifting. So inclusive access, that's going to be the big thing, right? Ebooks. And so in order to stay afloat and to stay up with those sort of trends, we have to raise the fee.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, Declan.
So I just want to clarify, it sounds like this increases both an adjustment for inflation and also you're looking to increase the scope of the available resources.
Absolutely. And inclusive access. And so everybody has an opportunity. One of the things that we did is we did a survey to students, and we asked the question, was the rental program beneficial for them? Did it help them succeed? Because one of the things we found out, and you all may know this, is that a lot of students either had to drop out of college or couldn't take courses because they couldn't afford the textbook, right? So we've been able to sort of hinder that and get more students to be successful in their programs and get their degrees. So we want to continue that and offer other options that are going to cost more. And so increasing that rate will help us to be able to, I don't know, just to stay at the top of where we need to be with this program. So we've got this program and it's sort of growing, and now we need to be able to do that.
Now, the two questions, so one comment and one question. The comment is, to give some context, last year, Mary Height and Felipe Mariga came in, they're professors in the language department, and they came in and talked about like the need to have that inclusive access code for their classes, because those books cost about, or sorry, that code costs about like $250, is that right? Which is about the cost of what, let's say, a chemistry textbook would cost. That's pretty equivalent to that, right? Yeah, so it's basically their version of that textbook. They have that online access code, and they're the ones that need, that want access into the program, but don't currently have it because of the way the format is set up with it. But it sounds like they're negotiating on it. So to be able to include the language program into it, that's why it would be a moderate fee increase to allow, all those students taking those classes to be led into it. So that's the context. Now, the question from online, from Sylvia Bisnet, is would they be increasing every single year, or how do you see this adjusting itself? Like, when will we be making these price point decisions?
We're looking at like a tier increase. So over a period of time,
Oh,
3
okay.
years or maybe 5 years. Right now it's $7. I'll just make something up. We'll increase it to $13, and every year we would increase it 2% or whatever. But we've got to crunch numbers and find out what works well, because we're not raising it just to raise it, and we're not raising it just to have revenue piling up. It's really to make sure we can operate the program. So yeah, we're looking to do it over time.
How much? Oh, sorry, Quinn, go.
What, you said this was $7 per credit?
Per credit, yeah.
why, I guess I'm just wondering, why do you do it per credit instead of per like cost of the text associated with the class?
So the text can vary per class. And so you would have some courses. So when we did the calculations of which books were one-time use materials versus ones that could be part of the rental program where they can be reusable, when we averaged that out, that was the dollar amount that we came to, that would be able to help sustain with what we did at that time. So that was back in 2018. Prices of books have increased, plus we've increased materials added to the program every year. And so that cost has actually went up to the program. But that was just the mathematical equation we did when we calculated the total inventory of all the books being used for the courses that could be used in the program. It was $7 per degree credit. Because again, a chemistry book could be $250, a psychology book could be, $200, A&P book could be $350. So the books really vary by program. And so it's easier just to do one overall flat fee across the board instead of saying, okay, chem is going to be this rental fee, but A&P is going to be this versus accounting that.
And here's an example, Quinn. So you see, I do see your hand up, Declan. For philosophy, their book costs $50. Oh, this is frozen. Their book costs $50. That's Intro to Ethics. But you'll see here for chemistry, that's $280. So it's like that's a very different cost of that textbook for each different one. But philosophy, that ethics class is 3 credits versus chemistry, it's 5. So when you break it down over average, I guess that's where that comes up. Like per credit, how much are each coming up? And it's not equal across every single one. Like every single class has a different amounts of textbooks. Like English has a lot of little books that add up to it. So you'll see in their textbook rental program, I don't know, there's so many different books that are lumped into English 1 versus that one book that you're going to get for chemistry. Yeah.
The bottom line is it would be a ton of labor for maybe not much at the end of it.
Correct. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can we have Cole first and then Declan, if that's okay? Yeah.
So I'll be 100% honest, I've never attended a tech school, but both my undergrad and my grad school had textbook rental programs. So I just have the question of, has it ever been a thought to go to, instead of a per credit rate, to a flat fee, rate across the board that would cover some in some areas, but then, if somebody isn't taking the full amount, I know every semester I took 12 credits at Whitewater, I paid $108 a semester, right? And that covered all the books unless I had to buy it. Is that ever part of a consideration? Would that feasibility not work? I'm curious.
It is now. So as we're looking at other colleges, we do see some colleges do that. They have a flat fee, which covers everything. So yeah, it is something that's on the table.
Next one to Senator After.
Right, yeah, it sounds like this is a very socialist approach, like an equitable subsidy, really similar to the transportation fee, how the
Sure.
car commuters subsidize public transport. My question would be, if that is, you said $7 per credit. So what is that looking like now if you run the calculations, and what do you think that's going to look like in 4 or 5 years based on your plans?
And so that is, we do have to go back and rerun those numbers because over the last 5 years, from where we started, besides just, inflation, we've also added numerous titles to the program that were not initially in the program back in summer of 2019. So we do have to recalculate that. Plus, we know enrollment numbers have increased as well. So we have to factor that into, because the more students, which is great because it brings in more fees, but that also means we're purchasing more of those expensive textbooks then as well.
That makes sense.
And so we just have to take all that into account and rerun those numbers and then kind of see where things.
And we had the pandemic, so let's not forget that, right? And so
Yeah.
that just sort of crumbled everything.
Well, that happened
So
right as it
bouncing
started.
back, even
Correct.
from that, we're still bouncing back. So obviously enrollment increases, textbooks are gonna, the need for textbooks are also gonna increase. So that's a factor as well as we look into this 5 years, because textbook rental was really what it was. It was a concept and we ran with it as a college. It is now a program. And so we do need to look at it as a program and having that. So yeah, there's a lot of factors that we have to look into to even determine an actual rate increase, because we, as Holly said, we would have to run we'd have to run some numbers and see. And the fact that enrollment is increasing, right, each term, and it's not the same percentage each term. So we'll have to look at that and really what is the duration? So do we go 5 years out or do we project 3 years out? We don't know. And I do believe the evolution of the program will look differently 3 years from now. Totally different. The concept, let me call it that. The textbook rental concept will look so different. So then it'll probably have to be reviewed again because we're getting away from a lot of the physical books and going to other course materials. So, yeah.
So at this point, the algorithm that was used to determine that original cost is obsolete, from what I'm hearing. It needs to be reworked.
It needs to be reworked,
Okay.
correct? Yeah, so we'll work in conjunction with budget office and that to get projections and numbers and where they are projecting enrollment to be, because we'll have to use those same numbers then for our calculations. And so we'll rerun, a report on our end showing all the new items added to the rental program, where those costs stand now. And then for them to get a new number.
Will that be announced publicly to students? That's what someone online asked.
Would that be a what?
Will that be publicly announced to students and like, what's the timeline on all this?
When did we decide? Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and when is that timeline and how do students weigh in on that? Like, is it solely?
that's a really good point, Kai, is to maybe, we have a survey currently that we get a lot of responses from. So maybe that is something we ask. If we had to give you a timeline, fall 2027,
Oh, so
I
it's not
don't know.
even.
It's not tomorrow because there's just things that we have to do. And we
Sure.
want to make sure that we're doing this correct, right?
Yep.
We just don't pull a number out of the sky and say, well, now we're going to charge $14 a credit. We really want to know what that number is and what it looks like. So we're working on this to determine so it works best, not only so the program can continue to grow, but also for the students.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, maybe that's something we could do is to see, but it won't be like,
So it's gonna be like a next year thing that, they can come to student senate and then Cole can work on it because whoever's coming back like this guy and a few other
yeah,
people.
well, let me just say this, don't hold me to the 2027.
Well, I'm
It could be
not, don't worry, I'm
2026.
graduating. I
It won't
won't
be.
anything.
But I do promise there will be ample time to
Okay.
get the word out. People
Great.
will know. We'll have a way to be able to, even for students when they enroll or whatever, we will make
Perfect.
sure.
Love that. Okay, and that maybe last question.
That was pretty much what I was gonna ask, is that if it could be brought back to the Senate, since it was the Senate's
Yeah.
original baby, and to, do some type of, publicity about it,
Mhm.
so that, hopefully the semester or something before.
Yeah, we had planned to bring up the proposal back to the Senate once we have something for you guys to take a look at.
Perfect. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
that,
And
Mr.
then
Nicholas.
one last question from BB Hodgman.
Ms. Henderson, I just had a thing that I was, it's not related to textbook. I was working on halal food implementing in the college.
Mhm.
And I already spoke to Dr. Sylvia Ramirez, Justin Perry. I think there's gonna be a cost problem for how to buy that halal patty and then bring it to the cafeteria. I was just wondering if you are gonna work with that financially wise.
So the dining services went through a restructure. And so the whole leadership team at dining services is new. The back of house supervisor started in November, front of house in October, and the general manager in January. And so we're going to completely redo dining services. I'm taking the staff on a retreat next Thursday, so we can start talking about some of those things. What on the agenda is a student initiative. So Sylvia did share your PowerPoint with me.
Yep.
So I'm going to be taking that so we can have those conversations. But I read a lot of information on college cafeterias, and the pandemic killed that as well, right?
Mhm.
And how do you come back from that? And so there's a lot of things we're not doing that we could and should do. But again, it's going to take time, and it's changing the mindset and the culture of a department that certainly did not consider some of the things I want to moving forward. So I will be bringing the new general manager hopefully in April, if not April, in May, so we can do something very similar to talk about dining services. And then some of the things in your PowerPoint, and just I want to get clarity, make sure I understand. But one of the things I will tell you that we want to do is we want to do some listening sessions and bring students in and sort of you tell us what you're looking for in your dining experience.
Yeah, we'll come and invite you back after
Yep.
your spring break retreat, afterwards to talk specifically about that. But this one was
Yes.
just about textbooks, so.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, no worries about that. So
Yes.
we'll be ready once you come back from your retreat.
Thank
and
you.
Come back refreshed, so. Okay, well, with that, that's all the time they do.
So we never got our question answered. So are we at least open to looking at raising that fee?
Oh, yeah, open to
Okay,
looking
all
at
right,
it for sure.
all right.
We want to see the numbers. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of finance-minded people here, so we'll take a look
All
at
right,
it. But I think it won't be us, it'll be a new Senate, so you gotta talk to this guy, really.
Oh.
so.
Yes, we'll be sharing some information. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yo,
your
thank
time.
you for coming. Thank you so much. There. Like we're trying to pull back on it, but this one was just specific. Okay, well, with that, we're ready to move on to our next guest speakers here. So this is to talk about public safety programs, operations, and initiatives. And today we have Officer Logan Garcia. He's a public safety shift lead. You may see him working with some of the students, hiring them on board. We got Julian and Lorenzo, and I think Andy is he like a staff now, or is he still a student? Or?
Just got hired full-time.
Who did?
Andy.
Andy, okay, full-time officer now, so he's really been working hard recruiting students into the program. And then Lucas Adler, Deputy Director of Public Safety Services. He works very closely with Flan, and Flan's been here before, so pretty big stuff. With that, welcome. You have the floor. You can come up if you want, or you can stay there.
Sure.
Whichever you want.
Wherever you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's nice to go up here so that people can see you, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So basically, and whatever you guys are looking to talk about, we can talk about, but just gonna give a little overview of our department, some of the services we offer, and I guess we can take it from there if that works for you folks. So again, my name is Luke Adler. I'm the Deputy Director of Public Safety for Madison College. I've been with the college now for almost 16 years. Started off as a student health officer, ended up working as part-time, then full-time field training officer, to a sergeant, to a lieutenant. Now the deputy director, which is a recent promotion for me. We are a 24/7 department, so 24/7, 365. There's always an officer that's physically working for Madison College. We have our number, which I'm assuming most folks have seen or know, the 245-2222 number. That is our 24/7 emergency line. So if you need to get a hold of public safety for whatever reason, 24/7, 365, you can call that number and there will be an answer. If it's overnight or on the weekends, we have a partnership with Wisconsin State Capitol Police. So they do dispatch services for us overnight and on weekends because we don't have full-time overnight or weekend dispatch service. We have a staff of about 20. So that's our director, our deputy director, our two sergeants, our risk manager, our officers, student officers. It's everybody. Some of the services that we provide, the more common ones, I mean, anything that's safety or security related, we're going to be involved in. Anything that's happening on campus, if it's a safety, security concern, we're going to get calls about it. We'll be responding to it, but you'll see us out on patrols, so on foot patrols, mobile patrols, responding to EMS calls, responding to disorderly or disruptive subjects on campus, vehicle unlocks, vehicle jump starts. That's a pretty common service that we provide. I mean, sometimes almost daily, especially in the winter, with people having dead batteries. One thing to keep in mind, if you are calling us out, or students are going to call us out, or employees call us out for a dead battery or their keys locked in their car, we do require photo ID, and the vehicle needs to be registered to either you or a parent. Escorts, so this is more common in the evening, but I mean, it could be at any time of day. If students or staff are feeling uncomfortable walking out to their vehicles at night, escort out to their vehicle. I'm also on the behavioral intervention team, so I represent public safety for that team. Wolfpack alerts also come through our office. That's the InformCast app It's available to staff and students. You can download that from the website, use your college login. That's how we send out emergency communications to the campus community. So that could be alarms, emergencies on campus, weather closures, you name it. That's how we put that out. That's our main way of putting out mass communications to the campus community. We also are in charge of parking on campus. That's kind of just a brief overview, I guess, of what our is doing. So was there any specific questions that folks had about?
A lot.
About stuff?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this is the lead right here. So he's in charge of our public safety committee.
Okay.
And there's quite a few people in that committee here, so I think you can take the lead on this and your members can chime in as you see fit.
Sure, yes. So initially you mentioned you were in charge of parking on campus. Can you elaborate a little bit about what that entails? Do you decide the allocation of spots as well, or just the enforcement of
We
the?
just enforce
Okay.
the spots as they are.
Okay, that makes sense. That was my understanding.
So
And
making
then-
sure like metered parking stalls are adhered to, so folks are, because the purpose of those meters is for short-term parking, so it isn't necessarily for folks to come and park there for work, so as an employee, or to park there for the entire day for class. That's more designated for folks to come in, meet with an advisor, drop some paperwork off, pay tuition, stuff like that. So we're enforcing that. Parking auto-marked stalls, parking in fire lanes, parking in the grass, stuff like that. So that's kind of the main stuff that we're looking for as far as parking enforcement goes.
How do you determine whether someone is faculty when they're coming into the lot, the faculty lot specifically?
So employees have an employee hang tag on their vehicle, so on their rearview mirror, the blue tag says employee with a number on it.
And there are some spots around campus like ELC. Some of their employees will either have blue or they'll have an orange tag if that's specific to their lot. ELC has their own designated parking. Same with the Foundation Center, when it was the Foundation Center and staff, they had their own color. That's specified where they should park.
Thanks. So just some background into what we've been doing in the Public Safety Advisory Committee so far. We have been talking about a transportation survey. We want to get an idea of how people get to campus. We're expanding on data that has been obtained in previous years. Specifically, Jackie was the analyst and she brought that to the Student Activities Board, a great presentation talking about public transport ridership. And then PTK did a study in 2023.
Okay.
We're looking to put out ideally a recurring annual study that gets a little bit more of a comprehensive approach to commuter services, specifically the parking situation. And this is also to inform decisions on a recent resolution in this Senate around an efficiency parking initiative. This is something we would want to partner very closely with public safety on.
Okay.
But essentially we'll be giving students access to specific stalls. And this would allow students to park closer, paying maybe a monthly or a per semester fee to park in those designated spots. Beyond that, we've had a lot of discussion back and forth about equitability of this and how those spots would be allocated. But we're looking to make it efficient overall. And that's the ultimate goal.
Okay.
So really, there would be communication in the future, but we wanted to make you aware that that is happening.
Sure.
The information we were looking to get from public safety had to do with the amount registered, the amount of tickets given out in like a given semester or an entire year, academic year. And this would allow us to kind of determine the number of cars in the lot on a daily basis.
Sure.
And that's really going to inform our decision on like what does the parking situation actually look like. We're hoping that we might be able to get that data from public safety.
Looks like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go ahead and say there's the running number, like I said in my emails, all we do is keep a running number of vehicles that come through campus, because we can say if you registered your car this semester, you're gone. You don't have to re-register again. You just come back and your car's already registered. So we don't know who's coming and going when, because those vehicles are never taken up. Your information is stored and it's never given out. It's only for public safety. So it's hard to say who's new registered. I can tell you within a month, and that depends on, not every student's going to do it. We tell everybody to do it, so that way it like helps So that way we know whose vehicle it is, but that doesn't mean they do. It's voluntary.
Right.
We don't force anybody. So that number wouldn't be, or those numbers wouldn't be accurate. Like, to me, I just don't think they would be.
It may not be useful for what I think you're.
Yeah, what you're trying to
Yeah,
do.
it sounds like that's not a great way to operationalize that. So what do you think might be a good way to operationalize that? And would there be data that public safety could provide?
I was
So
gonna
I
say
think-
there's,
From what I think you're getting at, we have a rough idea, like stall count, what we're looking at. You know, and obviously I think we could talk more about this, so we can kind of nail down what you're looking to get at. And we could maybe be, during a semester, maybe middle of the semester when it's, classes are running, you kind of have a good idea, because usually there's a big spike in the amount of folks that are on campus those first couple weeks, so that may not be the best time to get a good number as far as like your normal for a semester. Maybe for a week. We've done this in the past. Pre-COVID, when there was more of a parking issue, I would say, where we would do stall counts hourly for like a week. Now give us a rough idea of how many are on campus and what peak times are and stuff like that. So that might be something that numbers wise, might be a little bit more useful for what you're getting at, for what I think you're looking to get at,
so
data wise.
I'll tell you right now, there's 2,600 spots available at the general parking on campus. The majority of spots are in the D, G, and F, which is the back lot. That's where the bulk parking is. And then the overflow parking would be the Goodman Sports Complex. And then K1 and K2, which is by the Robin Roberts Field. So if you go out there on any single given day, and if you see that, the G lot, that far back lot is practically empty, that still means that there's 1,000 spots just in that back lot. I want to say that means like 400 back there. So you can kind of get a sense of, okay,
Yeah, rough number.
yeah, rough number, very rough numbers. And then if you drive to the overflow lot, you'll see that that's almost completely empty. So there is parking. It's just everybody wants to be.
Right. That's really good information to have. So 2,600, you said?
2670, yeah.
2,670, there we go.
Linda, did you have your hand up? Yeah. Online?
You think you put in the chat?
Oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have a
let's see.
I have a ton of questions I'm trying to type out here.
Sure. Who has questions? Who else has questions? Well, maybe we'll just alternate between like you. I think you haven't asked a question, so then Hassan after. So Lando, Nevaeh, Hassan, and then back to Luke Declan. Sound good? On cue.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
So, Director Adler Deputy Director Adler and Officer Garcia, thanks for being here, guys. We really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to stop by and join us in this meeting. So, yeah, Declan's pretty much asked a lot of the questions that I was going to ask. I specifically would like to know a little bit more information about that visitor parking lot with the parking arm over by the health building and sort of if that has, I guess, does that follow different rules than the regular parking lot, or is there still a lot of enforcement going on in there?
So currently that lot is designated for visitors, and then there are some employees that work in the health building that also park there.
Yeah, I ask that because in our discussion about implementing this efficiency parking initiative, the first thought that came to mind for me is, that lot might be an ideal spot to run a pilot program. I don't know if there'd be a lot you can do with reserving a few spots in there for it, but we were thinking because of that parking arm being right there, you guys, if you're on board, you wouldn't need to always be walking in and out checking the license plates necessarily because you'd buzz people in and let them into the lot. So you'd be able to verify information right there and then before they get in, which might make it easier if we were to implement some sort of program within that lot. But would there be any, I guess, obstacles or I guess rules preventing us from using that parking lot for any reason?
I mean, so currently as that lot is now, and again, it's reserved for certain employees that work in health, but the main purpose of that is for visitors. So the main reason that it's there is it's for folks that are coming on campus that may not be familiar with the layout. It could be, folks that are here for meetings or events, prospective students who haven't been on campus before. So we want to make sure that there is always a spot available for them. And depending on what event is going on, so I mean, there might be days where it's relatively empty because there's not a whole lot going on. Then we may have a big event that is jam-packed and it actually overflows out into general parking. So those would be the main obstacles that I would say, just looking at as it is now, that you would run into, just based on what we have that lot, the purpose of that lot for now, I guess. But I think we can definitely talk about what you guys are doing, and see what we can and can't do. Definitely some ideas and
All right.
suggestions.
That
Perfect.
sounds good. That's all I had. So thank you so much.
No, thank you, appreciate it.
No problem. Okay, we had Nevaeh on deck next.
I was just kind of wondering, is there a reason why there's like, that you need to have a certain parking pass, like, for like certain employees? Because like, for me personally, I work, down at School Life. And a lot of times, like, I just come for my shift and I'm not at school and like, the parking is just like super packed. And it's like, you can't park in the meters because you have to pay for them. And you can't like park in like the upper areas because mostly the meters. And I was wondering, is there a way to like have like the like employee cards for students who are working?
So currently, this goes for our student employees, any student employees, they're not given an employee parking pass that's reserved for either part-time, permanent part-time, or full-time employees. I think the main reason the college does that is just for consistency. So that there's not, just a chaos out there, everybody just parking wherever. Just over the years, that's what has worked the best. Instead of having like blocks, a little block of employee here, a little block of student here, then this lot's here, this lot's here. For consistency, is I think the main purpose that it is the way that it is at the college, I guess.
Senator Raptor have questions on behalf of me, if you want to ask them. Any committee questions that we,
Yeah, specifically, were you looking to get more into the emergency protocols? Yeah, okay, so
No, I was gonna get into that too, but go ahead.
yeah, honestly, I've talked a whole lot, especially at the beginning. Yeah, Senator Crowder, do you wanna take this?
So basically, we're concerned as far as student awareness about the emergency protocols within the college. We are aware that there's a document online that goes through them, but we're wondering if maybe some of that information could be made more concise, similar to the red card thing that we have going on at the school right now. Maybe it'll be the blue card, I don't know. But so that students, know what the different things mean, especially with the recent situation of the active shooter that happened at a school not too far from us. And then the other thought, possible solution for helping to make students more aware of it, you know how we have the sexual assault training? It would be nice to have some sort of required training like that on, the new system, but
Right.
Blackboard that kind of goes over what the emergency protocols are so that no one's walking around dumbfounded, not knowing what to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that a good summary?
I agree with you too. That's something that we have, nothing's been implemented yet, but it's something that we have to talk about. No timeline as far as like, it's gonna be here next month or something, but it is something that we would like to do. And as far as you're like talking about the red card, blue card thing, I mean, we'd be interested in talking to students as far, what would be helpful to you, if that's something on Blackboard or whatever the new one is gonna be, well, that's great. If there's something it's posted somewhere, or if it's, a video or something, I mean, whatever is most useful and easy to look at and then get information from her.
Yeah, the Blackboard Brightspace would be more of like an awareness so that all students, have an opportunity to learn it, especially since we get those messages about you need to complete this, it's a requirement.
Mhm.
I feel like, or we feel like, I don't want to just speak for myself, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, that should also be a requirement for, the safety protocols so that we're not walking blindly. I think one of our senators had mentioned that at the last alarm thing that went off, people didn't know where to go. You know, they didn't know what the alarm meant. And it was just kind of, I mean, I wasn't here at the building at that time, but
This was also the first Monday of the semester. I should just look back at my calendar. This was January
Yeah,
27th.
for
Yep.
school.
So I'm not sure if this was like just the getting back into the swing of things or what the protocol was, but I remember being very confused as to what was happening, if it was okay to go back inside. I mean, I have a feeling a lot of that has to do with just the size of the student body exiting the building, but what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you 100%. I think, we'll go back and start talking about what we can put out to the student body that's easy for them to consume. So it's not like an hours long presentation. It could be something that you can reference on, on the website or something like that, that is clear and concise on what to do, whether it's an evac situation, fire alarm, whatever it might be, some of the more common stuff. And we work with our risk manager on that too.
and we also talked about asking you guys to consider working with orientation, new student orientation to come in and just give like a brief presentation of some of that information too.
We'd be happy to do that. I think we could work with Student Life on something. I know I present, at least half a dozen times. I know Logan does as well, but it's been more for at least they've requested us more for the friends and family event.
Yeah, so we'll do.
We
the
presented to
presentation
that.
for- Yeah, friends and family will show up to Wolfpack orientation. So when they go off into that side room, or one of the people that presented to them, but so far nobody's asked or we've never explored.
But if there's opportunities to address new students coming in, we'd love to participate.
So I know tomorrow, I'm at Student Life that public safety is coming in for active shooter protocols. And I was wondering, I don't know how other jobs on the campus work, if they have weekly meetings like we do, but maybe it's something that could be incorporated into their time if that is something that they want. But my other thing was also about footage and camera. I was wondering, do you guys erase your footage 6 months after, or is it a more extended time?
So the first question, we offer training to whoever requests it. So if a certain employee group or a classroom requests that we come in and present on a certain topic, we arrange that with them. And then as far as cameras go, it really depends on the camera. It runs and it'll maintain footage for a month, but it varies from camera to camera. And as far as how far back we can recall it, but it's generally speaking, it's months, several months, without giving an exact. As far as when we can go back and, if you would come to me 2 months from now and say, hey, something happened, I could probably recall or get camera footage from that camera, and then we could save it indefinitely, for reporting purposes or whatever. If that answers your question, I guess.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
Yeah, just a few minutes left, so we're running into the final minutes here. Phil, what is your question?
So I will have a question about active shooting. I've been told it's not a matter of if we're gonna have active shooting, it's a matter of when we're gonna have active shooting. The thing is, why there's not drills happening for students, like other high schools do that. And then the other thing, why the public safety is not armed. As a student, I'm just concerned about.
So the drills, again, that's another thing we've looked into. We haven't really found a great way to do it with a building with a student base that's this size. Again, we're open to it, but from what we've looked into, it isn't really the right, space to do it. And then why we're not armed, that would be from a board decision. That's not up to public safety to, say we're gonna be armed or unarmed.
So, sorry, in case of active shooter, God forbid, on the campus, will public safety stand by and then wait for the law enforcement, or?
So we would assist in the evacuation of the building. We would not confront the shooter because we're unarmed.
That's the reason, like, we can't put anything really down on paper. The model is run, hide, fight. So if the first one's run, we get out, blast out a Wolfpack alert that says, hey, there's somebody in the gateway. And we're here right now.
Yeah.
What's the first thing we're gonna do? Just run. Why would we lock down and hide in this room, right? Best chances of survival are to run. If we do drills and we tell everybody to lock down and stay inside until law enforcement comes, well, that's just, maybe it increases the chances of like likelihood of you not surviving versus you just running if there's accurate information. If we're able to give out accurate information, the first one's run for a reason.
You do have tasers though, right?
Right.
Like, yes, okay.
I'll take a few more questions.
Sure. Does anyone else have a burning question?
So Officer Logan, I think, I don't know, so the thing is with like run, you might encounter the shooter instead of being on the inside a room. I don't know if you like, I see it that way, like if you get out right now, you might encounter a shooter. I think like some other high schools are providing blankets and like some training to the like teachers to like how to like lock your door or like put something on the door so you can't see through the window. But like I don't know if like the model is like run. I don't know how many students are going to be encountered with the shooter. So
Yeah, that depends on accurate information, getting out to people first. And then, of course, there's gonna be a time lapse from the time that something's called in.
Yep.
Versus the time that we're able to get that out, and then even, how many of you are gonna be looking at your phone or your laptop in that situation, right? Nobody really. So that's why locking down is safe, but it's not the first thing that you'd wanna do if you knew what was going on.
Do you have a question from someone? Okay, fine.
Yeah, it was, I guess, two questions. I guess if we're in that situation, would you like bring all the phones in all the rooms of the building? And then, or is there some other way that you would try to get, instead of like checking my Wolfpack Connect or whatever?
So that's where the Cisco phone system comes into play on campus, and then TVs in most of the major areas. So when there's a shutdown, that's when you can kind of see what, even the phones in the hallways.
Yeah.
You'll see that red thing that says Wolfpack Alert. You click it, you read it, and that's the information you'll get while you're in here.
Yeah.
We have the access to lock down by campus, by building. We'd be the ones to do that. I guess, yeah, it really depends on who's able to look and see at that any given moment.
Yeah, it's a really like quick turnaround situation. Where is this? I've never heard run, hide, wait, run, hide, wait. I've never heard that before. Is that a public safety thing? Is that something that I should have heard?
That's
That's like a national model for, yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on, is it everything set there?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, maybe we have time for one last one, and I guess you,
Yeah.
since you asked the last ones.
Kind of to like add on to that, so what if people who are not able to run, like what should they do? Like if someone is in a wheelchair or like in crutches and they can't run, like what do you suppose that they do? Like if, that's kind of my question.
So for those folks, we want them to hide or barricade in place. And we do with our disability resource department. So for folks that are, that have physical mobility, they can't run, they're, like you said, crutches or wheelchair. And we've reached out with them. They have a partnership with them. So if there are folks that are in that, have that condition, we're willing to sit down with them to come up with a specific safety plan for that person. Going through their schedule, where they're at on a daily basis, identifying some areas for them they could potentially take shelter and what they should be doing.
Is this for everybody, like everybody on the plan, or is it just for certain students?
So if a student has a disability and they're working with our disability resources department, they know that we're available to set up a plan specific to them. But also if any student could meet up with us and we could walk them through some stuff and talk with them to make them come up with a plan.
So it looks like we have a lot of questions still, but I think we've got a lot of things to do. I think what we should do instead of spending all this time here is we can invite them back and talk specifically about public like safety, like what would you do in an active shooting? Sounds like you do training when people request it, right? So I think we should invite them back to come talk specifically about that and answer those questions. Because I feel like you can email them later, or if you want to,
Super easy
you can
question.
walk with them outside and talk about that.
We
as
are
we'll move on.
almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, so why don't you walk outside with them and talk specifically about that? But that's all the time we have today, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we can continue on with our schedule. She's not here today, so for team building activity, what would you do in an active shooting? Just kidding, not me.
I have a question.
What question would you think we should discuss?
What's your favorite class?
What's your favorite class so far? Okay, cool, sure, we can go around. I don't know, do you want to start, Elon? What's your favorite classes this semester so far?
Just one.
In my internship.
Your internship class, is that working at the lab at UW?
Yeah.
That's working with, do you work in the Wisconsin Institute for Discovery?
No, just UW Hospital.
Oh, UW Hospital, okay. No, that's cool. Okay, so you're gonna be your internship class, and what do you do during it?
Mainly research.
Clinical research, okay. I remember you give a presentation once before. I'm not exactly sure what you do, but that's how
just
that yeah. Okay, okay, well, we can move on. Quinn, what's?
What I'm most enjoying this semester is how a lot of my classes are kind of overlapping. I have an intro journalism class, intro mass communication, and argumentation and debate.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you again.
And microeconomics, and in all of them are kind of on the same scale, which is to apply critical thinking to different situations and different narratives. I'm noticing a lot of there, like in my schoolwork, in my paper.
Okay. I hope that happens for you next semester as well, because it's already engaging when your interests align with what you have to do. So, yeah, that's good.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
What's your favorite class so far this semester?
Well, I guess I'm similar to you, where my classes kind of overlap with each other, because I have internship for human services, and then I also have a human service conference where we talk about, some of the things that we're doing, and we learn new procedures or protocols. And then I'm in a class called Community Agency, Service Agency, where I'm learning how to write grant proposals. So I'm making them overlap.
You're making them overlap. Okay, that's how
I
that
believe
works.
them a little less work, and yeah. So I'm writing a grant for the place, or I'm coming up with a grant idea for the place that I'm entering at.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, that's cool. It's good to know that things are applicable to your work. Okay, so let's go to online. Who wants to go first from online? Either Sylvia or Evan or Sierra, one of those people from online.
Angel just went.
Angel, yeah, I figured he would write something. Angel is in a Linux class right now. They're doing a movie kind of deal. I don't know exactly what that means, but they're writing a movie script, or who knows? I know they write scripts. Evan, so yes, we're gonna invite. Yeah, you can join those meetings, but we'll talk more about it later, Evan, for that. But if you want to talk about your favorite class.
Yeah, sure. I would say probably my favorite class is sociology. I absolutely adore that class. It's fun to look at different problems in society and figure out the patterns behind them, talking about social, cultural, political issues, all of that. So.
What teacher he has?
What teacher do you have? Annette wants to stop you.
I have Autumn Bayringer. She's like one of the best. I love her.
Oh, apparently Nevaeh is in that class as well too.
No, she's my instructor.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah.
Dr. Soul, Dr. D.
Dr. Soul. Who's next online? Sierra. Sierra, you there?
Yep, I'm here. My favorite class was the rock and roll.
Wait, sorry, would you say photography? Did I hear that right?
Yep, rock and roll history.
Oh, rock and roll history? I didn't even know we offered that.
Me neither.
Okay. Maybe I should take that. I feel like I'm good at, well, I don't know. I don't play music, but in theory. Okay, wow. Like, okay, rock and roll. Like, that's a sign, right? Okay, I feel old now. Okay. Sylvia, I think I skipped over you accidentally, but if you want to go next, what's your favorite class?
I think favorite is too strong of a word, but I'm taking zoology as part of my social sciences. And I find it really fascinating that other than real life experiences of what makes us who we are and why we are, it also begins with the science of our bodies. And I find that very fascinating as to that is how and why, and the beginning of why some people are just deranged or off or what have you. It's very fascinating to know that.
No, that's cool. Everyone seems to be interested in the psychology aspects of it. Okay, cool. Thank you for sharing. I guess that's your least disliked class, so we can phrase it that way. Lando.
So my favorite class right now is gotta be my macroeconomics class. Because last semester I did micro, had a lot of fun with that. I actually thought about switching my major to or economics, and then essentially I'm deciding to do some more economics courses now. So I did micro last semester. I'm doing macro right now. That one's more geared towards the entire economy and like globally how international trade affects us and inflation, unemployment, all the stuff you hear in the news all the time. And like every time we go through a new unit, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I know what they're talking about now when they say whatever, like the GDP for the US is like, rising at this rate. Like I actually understand that sort of thing now. So it's super fascinating just to know sort of kind of the underlying factors that affect our day-to-day lives through being in this economy.
Yeah, it was just Nevaeh today that asked, so everyone, let's talk about the let's talk about the effects of the economy on all of us today. I don't know what was how was that phrased?
Yep.
That-
What was it? The social and economic state of the world right now.
oh yeah, that's what it was.
Lando, just wait until you get into the role of the Federal Reserve and what Trump plans to do with it. It's gonna be scary.
Damn, okay, Senator Rafter getting political. Why don't you go now? And then we'll go back to Cole. I know you're not in school, but maybe you have a favorite previous class or something.
My favorite class? Oh, it's hard. We were talking about overlap. I'm writing for the Clarion and I'm taking an intro to journalism class. So that's a lot of overlap, but it's not my favorite class. My favorite class is actually stats. I love stats. Hypothesis testing, the ability to say whether something is statistically significant in terms of difference of means. It's really, really interesting because, you can look at all these numbers on paper and it's like, oh, that looks so crazy. Like this group is very much different. But then when you actually do the calculations, you find out that they're essentially the same. It's happen chance that the numbers are different.
Central tendency. That's the only thing I learned from you.
Yes, central
This
tendency.
semester.
I use that reasoning in WSG.
That's why I remember it. So I used that. I actually got interviewed by a reporter and I used your words and referred to you specifically. So
Wait, really?
I did actually.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. We can move to Cole. What was your favorite class that you've ever taken before?
There's a lot that I like. I think the most interesting is organizational team development in business is the most interesting one.
Very businessy.
Yeah, because you get to understand group dynamics, group think, and or biases. My favorite because they apply to everything. They apply to this. It's kind of fun to watch.
And if you didn't know, Cole is also in charge of the leadership certificate on campus. So go ahead and try and complete it. I don't know if that's in anyone's wheelhouse to do, but it's not that hard. There's no classes to take for it. It's just do some community service, do either the PTK or NSLS activity, or you can do an independent sort of activity, interview some people, and then do a presentation. It's not that hard, but it's like putting it all to practice and actually doing it. So Yeah, Cole's in charge of that, and you can talk to him more about it if you want.
Sounds good.
Yep. Okay, moving on. We can talk to Mr. Andy here.
Yes, well, I'll definitely read with my least disliked class, which is sociology. I actually like sociology a lot too. Other than just being easy, it's about a lot of fascinating subjects. There was this one subject we were talking about on like labels and why if you put like a certain label on a certain group, why they ultimately will live up to that label, like setting an expectation and how that like plays an impact, and then that alongside many other theories. It's really interesting stuff. But
You should look this up online. There's a story of a guy who named one son winner and another son loser, and how their lives turned out because of that. I think it's the start to the book of Freakonomics.
oh,
Right? What?
childhood.
You should read it. It's interesting. It's a science experiment, human experimentation. So yeah. Okay, Nevaeh.
My favorite class is with Dr. Adam, and it's Intro to Criminology.
Okay, intro to criminology. Yeah, that you started that this semester. So, okay, what did you learn?
People are horrible.
Okay, wow. I see you subscribe to that theory of life. So, hopefully, people aren't horrible in your life, and you don't have to be a horrible person. So, you can counter that narrative. You want to. Oh, leaning to that villain arc a little too hard. Okay, with that, we should move on. So, Mr. Brett, let's find you. What's your favorite class so far?
My favorite class this semester, I'm just finishing it because it's the first half of the semester class, Intro to Entrepreneurship. So in this class, I'm working with a lot of different tools to create my entrepreneurial endeavor.
Okay, then we'll move to Hassan.
Yeah, my favorite class is Calculus 1 with Miss Lytle. I think the class is, yeah, the class depends on the teacher. Every class that I took basically depends on the teacher, whether I hate I never thought in my life that I would like math, but because of the teacher, I like calculus, and yeah.
Okay, you have a lot more to look forward to because I'm sure you have at least one more semester, if not a third, depending on what requirements are. So yeah, you can make it work. Yeah, so good luck to you. Okay, Mr. Vincent back here. What's your favorite class so far this year?
My favorite class is macroeconomics.
Oh, okay, with Lando, another macro dude.
And I like it. First off, my instructor, I think he does a really
Who's your
good job.
instructor?
His name is Richard
Oh, okay.
Shaken.
Don't know him,
Yeah. Yeah, he does a good job of like teaching us, and I also like that he always finds a way to like link like a topic we're learning about in class to something that's going on like in society today. Yeah, and I also like it's majority of the classes like it's like a lecture class, and I like those kind of classes. I like listening and then doing the work outside of class. Yeah.
Okay, cool. It's like sounds like you really get to engage with the topic. So yeah, you get to really think about things and apply. I don't know, your like day-to-day knowledge. So
Yeah,
that's good.
and the most we do is like take notes in class. And I enjoy it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you talk about big ideas too.
Yeah.
So, and that's what it's for. That's why we go to school. Okay, I think, am I the last person here? Okay, good. We got through everyone. No, wait, actually, Yilong already went. So this.
What was your answer?
It's his, well, you know, organic.
Recent?
Oh, I thought organic.
He's interning at the UW hospital. So yeah, and I think actually Stacy didn't get to go. Stacy, what's your favorite class? I asked Sierra, but I don't think I asked Stacy.
No, you didn't.
Sorry.
I have a favorite class. I mean, there's two classes this semester that I do like. I like my strategic leadership class because the teacher is really helpful, and he is, I don't know, I've had him before. He's just like a really good teacher, and the information is very useful. And my other class, believe it or not, is Math of Finance.
Math of Finance. Who are you taking that with?
I am math stupid, but
I don't know
with
about that.
teachers' help and the peer tutors' help, I'm actually understanding it, actually becoming a little bit more fun.
Yeah, accounting lab. They help out a lot. Marie Brensel was my professor. I did that, I think, over the course of 6 weeks in the summer.
That's
so that
my
was intense.
professor.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. My classes are all accounting right now, and honestly, because of taxes, it's kind of all jumbled up with what I'm learning. So, but my favorite class that I've ever taken, cartography, it is map making, and you actually get to design maps. And you think that, yeah, we've mapped the whole world. What is there to map? Everyone says that. Well, there's information. You can map information. Obviously, like the biggest things are election maps. My favorite map that I ever made was a map of like cultural horror sites in Massachusetts. So yeah, like I think it was Amityville Horror, or maybe it was Connecticut, because it was called The Hauntings of Connecticut, and it was obviously that one horror story plus other things, and all the waypoints on the map were bloody handprints. So that was fun. That was a fun class. It was basically an art class, but how do you tell art but make it like scientific? So that was really fun. I wish that I could like do that in life, but I don't know. Sometimes you got to be an accountant. So with that, hopefully we all learned about each other. So I think that was good. That's the point of those team development things. And thank you, Nevaeh, for coming up with that. So I think I'll come up with something for when we come back the first day, but just some fun little ways to get to know each other more. Okay, disclosures and recusals. If anyone has anything to report that they're a part of, do you own anything? Are you part of any partnerships? Do you have any sort of affiliations that we should know about involving any bills that we're going to discuss, which is basically the elections? Anyone who's running for the elections, so maybe that technically affects what it is, but it's basically just a tiebreaker bill. So I guess we should just know that Quinn's running the first spot. So is Hassan, so is Nevaeh and Andy, and anyone else in this room. Annette is running for a spot, that's right.
Just in case.
Just in
I'm
case.
here next
Yeah,
to
sorry. Angel is as well, and the Brunners, both Sierra and Stacy. Anyone else on, Evan is online, and then anyone else, Angel, and anyone else? Am I forgetting anyone?
The only person that's not here
Jose.
is Jose.
Jose, not here though, so yeah, that's why. But still wouldn't apply. But with that, that's so just so we all know who's in what. Moving on, reports from officers, advisory stand committee, so executive council and president's report. There's a bunch of things ongoing. I'll try to make it quick though. So we are working on below food issues. Like I told you, we'll be having a meeting back with Kim. So this one was just textbooks, but we'll be having her come back after spring break. They're going on their retreat. So that's why this one is specifically the textbook things, but they will be talking about it together. So that's why, like, we're going to be talking to her afterwards with that. She doesn't have the time to talk to her team yet. So that's all. So I'm not sure if you remembered that or not, but that's why. So otherwise, yeah, I did recognize that she was coming in, but she is going to talk about it on that retreat. So there's that issue. Some of the other major issues when we talking about, well, Cole talked about the Watertown thing, but I was talking to people at the food pantry, and we're just working on getting an inventory of like what they currently have in there. A lot of it comes from Second Harvest Food Pantry, so we'll get that information from them. I'll be sending out an email to Rose Bush House probably over spring break, so that they can, I don't know, they won't have as many students on campus, so they'll be working on get some information on the hiring, what's it called, policy for people who are applying to jobs here on campus. They only have campus experience. And then last thing that we're working on, Cole, what have I? Well, SAB, that'll come up separately. But was there anything else that I mentioned to you that we're working on?
No,
I think that's it. Okay, yep, that's it, other than our internal Senate projects. And the last thing I'll mention, I mentioned this to legislative affairs, the WTCS approved the tuition rate hikes. It'll be 1.75 for college transfer rate increase. So increased tuition by 1.75, and for occupation, it'll be 2.25% increase because they want to catch that up since they're paying much less than what liberal arts college transfer students are. So they're trying to catch up and make the rates more equitable since they're paying that less per credit. So that's why they have a much higher rate. But that's all. That's the end of my report. Any questions? No? Okay, we can move on to administration finance.
Monday, we passed the payment request from club. It's either House of Democrats or the Business Club. And we also received an updated payment request from last week. We approved that with the correct information. We then discussed the feedback from our presentation in SAB last week. And we also discussed a possible coming mock trial to defend our budget presentation later. See the end of my report.
Perfect. Rules and legislative affairs.
Yeah,
we have discussed about, implementing a tie break bill. And then, I also have, 46 total applications. And then that was all-time high. Sorry,
46 approved.
approved
Oh, okay.
applications. And then 43 individuals, who have applied, approved individuals, right, Cole? And then, that was all-time high applicants that we have received. Yeah, and then we're gonna talk about the bill rate later, right? Yeah, yeah, that's.
That's it. Okay. Team development, VP Salifu, excuse, Public Relations Committee, VP Jackson Winters.
We're doing election tabling, and that is already set and ready to go. It's the 31st of March to the 4th of April. A lot of people signed up, like, Declan, Angel, I don't know who else signed up, but thanks for signing up, guys, because we have like basically a full week of people just tabling. So yeah, let's give a round of applause to everyone.
Okay. Any questions for VP Jackson Winters? Hearing none. Okay. We can move to advisory report, Advisor Calio Curtel.
Yep. So first thing is final call. If you are wanting to attend in person or virtually the Watertown visit on the 24th of March, it will be from 11:30 to 2:30. That's when the two main classes that have the concerns, that's when they're being just after one's held, just before another is held. There is a virtual option. Once I get the link from Chelsea Bauer, the manager, I can share that with all of Senate so that you can be there. So yeah, just be advised, just let me know so we can account for you. We do have some folks already going, some folks can be virtual. They're excited that they are actually passing out their own marketing right now, advertising that we're coming. So this is getting up there, it's getting pretty legit.
Yeah, they're really excited.
Like Kai mentioned, I'm just gonna plug it. If you are interested in the student leadership, certificate, your student life, can let me know. Unfortunately, if you're looking to join right this moment, we will not accomplish it, as the deadline to be signed up to present and and be on track to everything done is March 28th. That is my deadline because I have to schedule out a bunch of other stuff. Finally, for election materials, everybody who is running their profiles available on the Wolfpack Connect site. You can see it. And that if anybody approaches you asking about election stuff, refer them to me or refer them to the Senate email. As I've told everybody multiple times, official communication will either come from myself or from the Senate at madisoncollege.edu email, as that's where we're tracking a lot of stuff through. I did already have one person ask someone who used to be a part of Senate about it, and it kind of threw us sideways. And so corrected it. It wasn't a major issue, but we corrected it, and everything comes from either my email or the Senate email. What's up?
I had someone ask me about, they asked me about if they could still, run, and I said, you can run as a.
Write-in.
Yes, write-in,
Yep.
okay. And I didn't know if you wanted those people directed to you as well.
100%, totally
Okay.
fine. If you have more people who want to, direct them to me. We've had 2 people ask about that. I've kind of given the
Was
rundown.
one of them paid?
Yes.
Okay,
Paige talked with
cool.
me, another person did. Basically, yeah, have them talk to me so we can talk consistency, because the number one thing we're gonna run into is that they need to use the same consistent name for every single vote they get, because if I get a bunch of names that are not the same, I cannot include those as a singular vote. So I just need to be clear with that. If someone just puts a first name and no last name, I don't necessarily know if I can count that, especially if we have somebody who has a similar name to that, so on and so forth. So I just have some stuff I've given them to make sure we're clear. But yeah, anyone who's not on the official ballot currently with a profile can still do the write-in process during the election week.
Awesome. I just wanted to make sure I didn't mess
Nope,
anything up
you're good.
because I
Totally
did
fine.
tell her.
What's up?
It's not a question, it's a comment. The tablet thing that I think we discussed in the last committee or the committee before that students will be able to vote during, like, it's gonna be helpful for the students if they can vote during tabling. But the issue we're finding is, I don't know, we haven't discovered a tablet yet. I don't know who brought that idea.
I did. I would talk to technology and ask them to borrow one. That's what we did for Black Student Union when we did it for the referendum.
Where's our laptop? Don't we have our laptop? I figured we'd be using our laptop.
So if there is a laptop, I haven't found it yet, but I'm sure if we had it before, it's probably there. One of the things we ran into in this, I'm over time, I'll be quick with this. Because we aren't like a polling place, there is nothing that prohibits us from people being as close to student life as they want to when they rent the tables. If you want to include the laptop thing, we would have to review that. The other big issue we run into is we run into a potential FERPA violation because if the individual does not fully log out of the system, their credentials are still available. Therefore, we could have it. That's another thing that we ran into. Scarlett Martino is looking into potentially trying to hold something like this at the Goodman South campus, but even her and I, with the resources we have, found it going to be difficult, especially since we have to staff it the entire time. And if we don't staff one day versus another, we could run into potential issues of individuals saying we're not providing adequate.
So we just have QR codes. Yeah.
With that being said, if people are still trying to find ways to vote, we can direct them to student life and use computers in there and they can vote with it.
I don't know.
Why can't we just have a private like internet browser? Would that not, and then have them close it afterwards? Would that not accomplish the same thing?
So the first thing is we have to obviously be logged into the computer and that has to remain there. And then because there's not necessarily, I don't necessarily know the ability for a private browser per se that automatically logs you out every single time, unless we're under the student life account. The logistics of it have just been difficult to work out because again, me and Scarlett are trying to figure out the same thing because she wants to have information available for when the actual April 1st election is going on, right? And then like I was just mentioning to Annette, the other part we run into is that if we aren't offering equitable and adequate access throughout the entire time that elections are open, let's say we offer it Tuesday, but we have nobody to table Wednesday, so we don't offer it Wednesday, that could run into some logistic issues or people saying, well, we're not offering it to us to do X. I think it's nice if we want to say, hey, we can do this. Student Life also has the computers that we can make available to folks to come in and vote if they don't have a way to vote through like a mobile device.
Is it problematic if we can't like offer it all the time? I don't know. I just don't.
I unless someone's going to be supervising and I won't like watching so someone doesn't walk off with this, does anything else that's.
Oh, yeah, we wouldn't be doing it unless. Yeah,
Unless someone's there, right? Because it has to be us, no one else within Student Life would, but if we don't have somebody to do that, what's our response to that? Oh, well, because this person's here, we can do it. We don't have anybody to, so you can't use it today. Like, that's kind of the issue we're gonna run into is it can't be as available as it probably should be if we're going to say Student Senate is offering X. Just like the election tabling is only gonna run through a certain time frame. It's when folks are available. I know that I'm gonna be handling stuff behind the scenes, so I don't want to put more upon you all to say, okay, well, Student Life is open, or let's say from 8 to 12 every single day, y'all are out there doing this. If it's not available, then we run into those logistical issues. And someone's asked if the front desk could help with that, like Deanne and her team, and the answer is no to that.
Sure, we can talk more later on that if you want to.
So the voting is gonna be through Wolfpack, right?
Yes, that's
Okay,
correct.
So I wanted to make sure I showed people this. This is the Wolfpack Connect app, and it's just sitting here on my phone, and that's what it does all the time, and then it disappears. Now, if I go to the web browser, it will work, but some other people might encounter this. And then the other problem that we encountered last year, you probably remember this, Kai, where people, well, they would use whatever system we were using and it cut off the bottom part on their phone. So then they weren't able to submit. So just a couple things to be aware of. So you can see, I didn't touch the screen, the app just went away. So, but it's only when you have the Wolfpack Connect app itself. And I don't know why it's doing that on my phone, but it will work through the website.
That's been an issue with that app since my understanding of the inception of it, and there've been multiple things submitted to it. Yeah, so when you scan the QR code, just whatever it is, you're right, it does take you to the website, but because it's to a form specifically, you won't run into the issue of you're going to a random different site. And it's all through the single sign-on log.
So it doesn't go to the app then?
No.
Okay, good.
The QR code goes right to the physical website, phone or.
And do you know if, like there were some people who had like, I can't remember what, I think it was like smaller phones and they weren't able to go up for some reason and vote. But we also, I don't think we had this one.
Yeah, I can talk, that's a formatting issue, but there is a way around that, but we can talk about that if that continues to. So I know I'm way over time, so unless there's any immediate questions, send me your questions in a chat or email and I'd be happy.
Yeah, you can always talk after. Okay, with that, we can move on. Reports from the Special Select Committee, Student Activities Board, VP Tab.
Last Friday, we went over 3 presentations from Student Senate, Student Life, I believe, Campus Life and ELT. And, well, I think our presentation for Student Senate was pretty great. And this Friday, I think we are going to have a final group to present, and we will vote on the budget and after the spring break. The number of votes.
Perfect. Any questions for Newtown? No. Okay, we can move on. Textbook Affordability Committee. Senator Sierra Brenner, anything new from us?
No report. I didn't have a meeting this week. I
we
believe
pretty much-
after spring break.
After spring break, perfect. And we pretty much had the textbook affordability update. But if you knew the number they were talking about, like, keep your ears open for that number they're looking at. I don't know if they're at that point yet, but it'd be nice to know what that number is and what they're considering it to be and what they're basing it off of. Because if it's anything like the discussion we're having about the SAB activity fee, then I don't know, it'd be nice to know what's that. So I mean, obviously you're on it too, so you can keep that in mind. Cool. Okay, moving on, Student Parent Support Group, Senator Crowder.
So we kind of covered it last week. The only thing I'm gonna remind you guys of is our next meeting is April 2nd. And it is at 11 o'clock. And just a quick refresher of what we covered. We're in the final stages. We finally got the response from the provost as well as Dr. Grady to give an equitable lens on the policy. And we're in the process of starting to rewrite. And we're expecting to have it done in April and to be celebrating in May.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Inclusion and Belonging Coordinator, vacant, maybe not typically though. So, Public Safety Advisory Committee, Senator Raptor, anything quick?
No report at this time. Essentially, we already went through it.
Yep, exactly. Reports from regional metro campuses, Senator Stacy Brenner.
We don't have a meeting until I think it's next week. It's either next week or the week after, I can't remember. It's like at the third Tuesday of the month.
Are you talking about, I'm asking for Reedsburg campus report.
But
Anything,
I thought you were asking about,
academic council, I will be in just a minute.
no report.
Anything for Reedsburg?
Nope.
Okay, no worries. Okay, moving on, Watertown. As everyone knows, I mean, we're doing the Watertown report on Monday, March 24th from 11:30 to 2:30. That's not correct. And if anyone wants to report, talk to Cole afterwards, so we can talk about Watertown. Portage, Senator Crowder, anything for your campus?
It's really short. I had planned to attend the District Board of Trustees on the 5th, but as you know, we got a whole bunch of snow because it was going to be held at the Portage campus. I was super stoked about that, but it got canceled. So,
That's
no
how it goes
report.
sometimes, no report. Okay, Fort Atkinson, Senator Dirks, I know you've got something.
Yeah, so on Monday, I guest spoke at the Fort Atkinson Rotary Club meeting, which they're actually hosting at the Fort campus now. I talked to a former president of the Rotary Club there, and he told me that they've been, the Fort campus has been super accommodating, and so they've been able to host their meetings there for Rotary Club. They're Mondays from noon to 1 p.m. and free food, can't go wrong with that. So I guest spoke about some of the opportunities I've had at Madison College through being a part of Student Senate, through Business Professionals of America, and just figuring out, and utilizing resources on campus that are all free to us students that have been very beneficial. And I specifically talked about career and employment services in that aspect. But yeah, there was a great turnout, a lot of friendly faces, got to meet a lot of people, and I did get an update on the refrigerator situation from both Alex, who's one of the campus managers, or sorry, I think he's one of the administrators, but then Kaylee is the Fort Atkinson campus manager, and she helped me figure out that what they're requesting, it's not a damaged fridge per se, it's more of not having one for students. So, I misspoke, I guess, at one of the other meetings. I said there's a broken refrigerator. I apologize. What I was trying to figure out was exactly what they were asking for, and now I have more details. So, it sounds like they primarily have two programs there that would need a fridge. Their nursing program, they have some part-time nurses there that are pretty much there 8+ hours a day. They don't get a lot of time to eat in between, and so having a fridge would help them store their leftovers for the next day, or just make it easier on them to be able to stay on campus and do their job and not have to worry about food as much. And then also their metal fabrication and welding program. That's also a popular program at that campus. And they're also there 8+ hours a day doing a lot of welding, metal fabrication work. And so they also were requesting a refrigerator. And so I believe is room 107 and 109, if we're talking specifics, where those would go. In terms of just keeping it brief, I won't go too much longer, but I also wanted to mention that when I asked about creating like a shared fridge for the entire campus and the student body, it sounds like they weren't really on board with that, just due to safety concerns with strangers coming in, guests coming in, and taking food or putting stuff in the fridge and leaving it, stuff like that. So they weren't necessarily asking for like one publicly accessible. They'd rather have one designated for welding students and one designated for nursing, and those would be locked in the specific rooms that they teach those classes, so that there'd be that
Sure.
additional security of having to have the instructor present, and then also having, the room be able to be locked up at the end of the night and not having to worry about someone trying to sneak in and, do stuff they shouldn't be doing.
Sure, it sounds
Yeah.
like I would like for you to write that in an email, summarize, send it to Annette. Annette, can you bring that up at PIC? Because I feel like that's the place where we actually be able to maybe get a refrigerator.
Yeah, and I've already brought it up, so if you could, and I'm glad that you acknowledged that, what happened, because that's what they were saying to me, and I was fighting back.
So yes.
So that's okay,
Oh,
not
yeah.
fighting back, but, being appropriate, of course.
Yeah, so like, why don't the two of you connect, put me and Cole on there so we can, I don't know, just
Okay.
help it move along as we need to, and I think that's that. Just something quick, Hassan?
And just to clarify, do they have a cafeteria?
No.
No regional campuses.
They do not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, can I
Yes.
mention
End of
something about
report.
Watertown quick before you?
Sure.
go on? I'm sorry to forget about this. I haven't sent this to Tina yet. I just got it. The YWCA in Watertown, has received notice that they're supposed to close. And from what I understand, MECC has funds that, for students who are, oh my gosh, how do I say, parents that are using that particular place. They are appealing the decision of getting closed. They had another incident happen. I don't know if you guys remember a while back, I was saying that there were some problems there. They changed management since then, but then they had another incident last week, and, yeah.
Let's work on getting more information. Maybe we can connect over.
I've got the public, the news release.
Why don't you send that to me and Cole? We'll work on it. And that can maybe be an issue we'll address at the next meeting coming back from spring break, because it seems a little bigger than the scope of what we have right now.
Yeah, I
so.
just wanted to make
No,
sure it was
it's good to
mentioned
know.
under Watertown, because that's gonna affect those students, and
Yeah.
if we do have students.
Yeah, send it to us
I'm
after
gonna
we
send it to
talk.
Tina too,
For
because
sure.
she didn't know about the other issue.
Okay, thank you. With that, thank you for those reports. It's good to hear back from the campuses. Do we have something for Goodman South? Sylvia, isn't it? Sylvia? Are you got something for us?
Sylvia, do you have an update for Goodman South at all?
No report.
Okay, thank you. No worries. Moving on, College Assembly, Shared Governance Councils. So for College Assembly, I gave a report on, our student senate. It was well received. People were asking, the history department in particular was wondering about, the textbook rental program, and they were wondering about they're like, oh, can we choose to opt out? Maybe we don't need any textbooks at all. Maybe we should focus on OER. And if there is a move to OER, that actually would save money overall. So it'd be interesting to see, but it is departmental, whether or not a department can choose to opt out. So I don't know if that entire department would opt out. History, open educational resources. So those are free textbooks that are open to everyone. So that's kind of like what that would be. So that was interesting. We also discussed the relevant policies for College Assembly. So how are we going to refer out to certain groups, institutional effectiveness, as well as Institute for Equity and Transformational Change. That's kind of the two offices, like whether or not they'll have input on certain issues, and mainly looking at matters and referring out to them as needed, because those shared governance councils are kind of being disbanded because they thought it was more efficient use of their time if they, worked on issues as it came across their desk. So that's kind of what we had discussion about, the particular wording of bylaws and how we move forward with that. So that was everything on College Assembly. Anything to add from anyone else? I guess Cole and what's the only other one there? Nope, that's pretty much it.
Pretty much it.
Yep. So yeah, it's just a lot of arguing about wording. So I was part of the argument. So that's how it goes. Academic Council, Stacy Brenner. It sounds like there's nothing for this week because you're meeting after spring break.
Yes.
Okay. Meeting after spring break. No worries. Okay. FPIC, Senator Crowder.
We already,
Yeah, I
the
figured.
report, we covered it last week.
Yep, I thought so. Okay. Finance Council, VP Salifu, not present at the moment. So Information Technology Council, Senator. I did forget, Angel, if you want to talk about your the IT Council update on meeting policy, because that did get discussed at the meeting and I forgot about it completely. So if Angel wants to type something, otherwise I can summarize. While Angel types something, I'll just say this. There's a policy on meetings, and there's people are having back-to-back meetings. And how do we have more efficient time so people can take time for themselves, or just have some break time between all those meetings? So there was a pitch to have 50-minute meetings and then 25-minute meetings. That way, just making the most efficient use of the hour, and then you get that 10-minute. Yeah, perfect. Post the report. Angel. So that's kind of what it was, just exploring how we would implement that. Only 50-minute meetings, so that we have that 10-minute buffer time. So we're strategic with our use of time, because the idea is that if you plan on having a 60-minute meeting, then maybe you won't get there. So yeah, trying to hit those meeting times, because we know we don't. So for the IT port, we had a meeting on Wednesday and some about the transition scheduling. He's going to put it all on the folder. So yep. And yeah, people did vote to approve for them to explore that further. So that's all that happened. Student Affairs Council. Sylvia, anything for Student Affairs Council?
We have our meeting tomorrow, so I can't really say much.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then Cole, you said you had something from the last meeting, maybe?
For that, it was mentioned, and they sent it out today to us, so that we'll be looking at the 2022 and then some of the 2024 student satisfaction inventory, SSE data. So we'll be able to see that. I looked at some of it today, and I think after spring break, I'll get some to y'all, because I think it's pretty.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Cool. Okay, with unfinished business, a 3-year plan, we're always still talking about, because next week, not next week, the week after next, after coming back to spring break, we'll hopefully approve the Senate 3-year plan. The only thing I want to discuss is we got a couple of questions about our 3-year plan, about the necessity of having certain, mainly the hourly positions. So we're just going to do a little mock debate. We're going to have team Declan Raptor over there, so we can have you get to play the villain role. I'll be the administrator, making sure that time's being followed. Cole will help the people online be judges to judge it. And then Lando and Yulong will be the ones defending our plan. And hopefully you can give them either some help or launch some hard questions at them, with Senator Rafter leading the charge. So your goal is to break down our plan. So we just want to be able to defend against any attacks that come there. So you'll be the shield, you'll be the sword. So Operation Sword and Shield, just like Pokemon. So should be fun. Okay. Any questions about that mock trial type thing that we got going on? I think it's the first time Senate's doing something like that. Should be fun too. I mean, we're all about arguing, right? So any questions?
This is very suits.
Oh, what is suits? Yeah, are you Harvey Specter or Mike Ross? You got Mike Ross energy, let's be real.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe, I think you do, I think you do. Okay, moving on, elections recap, VP
Yeah.
Hashmi, what you got?
I will work on a couple of things, especially, me and Cole are working on doing eliminating off, applicants. Because maybe they're not 6 credits or maybe, there's their first semester, so I'll be working on that to bring something to the Senate during or after the spring break. The applications will open on the 31st, a week after the spring break, or after we come spring break.
The voting.
Yeah, the voting, the ballots, and then they will close a week after that, so on 4th of April.
The Friday, right?
Yeah,
that's Friday, yeah.
At 12.
11:59, 12 o'clock.
12 p.m.
12 p.m.
9 a.m. Okay, perfect. Great. Okay, thank you for that. New business inclusion belonging corner application. That's Senator Andy Marin is coming up. He has a little speech for us. We'll put on a timer. So are we shifting to the 3-minute model now?
No, because I think what we did before for coordinators and new, it's 2 minutes to speak, 3-minute Q&A.
2 minutes?
Yeah, that's what we went to, is everybody had 2 minutes to talk, and then we had a longer Q&A session.
That sounds about right, actually. I think we can get it across in 2 minutes. So, okay, 2 minutes. Oh, that's a calculator app. Okay, 2 minutes, starting whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, just to say my name again, I'm Andy, and I'm running for the coordinating position for diversity, equity, for diversity, inclusion, and
And belonging.
And belonging. There we go. And I think I'd be a pretty good fit for it. Well, I know I'd be a pretty good fit for it because I know a lot of the people in these clubs and organizations, clubs that run the clubs as the club presidents and such. And then 2, I know a lot of people within those clubs. So not only could I use it as a catapult to further what I hope become just better communication between student senate and the student body, I think it would really help to serve one of the goals I set in my first speech, which was to improve that communication and get to know our student body even better.
Okay. Time, you get back? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Now this is where we go to the 5 minutes, right?
3-minute Q&A.
3 minutes Q&A. That's fine for our schedule. Okay, 3 minutes Q&A starting now. I guess the ceremonial thing we ask is always, what's your strengths and weaknesses? Thanks, Giovanni.
Katrina.
Katrina started that? Oh, Katrina started that. Okay, thanks, Katrina. Even the history goes back. What are your strengths and weaknesses, Andy?
Strength of mine, I like to think of myself as a friendly person. I really like to talk to a lot of people, get to know them better, and I really like talking to people. I can be sometimes a bit of a yapper, but I think it's, for me, it comes easy to make friends, and I think I can really use that in this position to make new friends, and through that push along our goals and such that we may present. And a weakness, again, just saying that no, I am pretty, I do like to get to work once I have like a goal set, a clear, loud goal, and I can just get to it. I can sometimes struggle to just keep that as one at a time and just be efficient with it. So sometimes I do struggle with efficiency just because I'm doing either too much at a time, I'm overdoing it, and I get tired, so on and so on. We're all students, so we
Understood.
understand that. But yeah.
Do you have a question from Quinn?
Yeah, do you have anything, any like specific intentions, any specific goals you want to like do in this role? Like, are there like clubs you're thinking of right now? Like people you want to communicate with for Senate or the other way around, or?
Well, to start off, I know the people from Mi Gente the best because it's a Hispanic club, so I'd like to communicate with them first. And then I know the president, she is also the president of another organization or club, I forget, something with theater.
PAL.
PAL.
Performing Arts Leadership.
Okay, so yeah, and I hope to collaborate with her mainly, and then catapult to collaborating with overall everybody, and through that.
You don't know me? Sorry.
Sorry, just off that I can think off the top of my head. Sorry. Yeah, I just hope to get to connect people.
Yeah, it's perfect. Question from Senator Abney.
So I just want to clarify also, the DCRC meetings, that's part of the inclusion and belonging coordinator's role.
Those meetings, yeah, I know those meetings have been, what's it called? Like, I guess terminated or,
That council no longer.
Yeah, no
longer
longer exists.
So we have to update that.
I guess we could update that, yeah, on there. So those types of meetings. But there might be other things that could be on there. Like we could update it to like, oh, like attend diversity meetings on campus and have it be more flexible because the names of things change. So that's something that Tina was just saying about things.
Yeah.
So no, that's a good point. We can update that. Yes.
Drop in on identity-based clubs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is one of the things that is in the position. So I know he knows. Annette, we have just this last question.
Not really a question, more of a statement. I just wanted to say that I've seen Andy around campus for at least the last year or so. And he is very sociable, easy to talk to, and I think that's really important in this position. One of the other things I wanted to mention off of that idea, I think the change that we could make in the job description is to maybe have them meet with climate and culture every so often.
Oh, you mean Demira?
Yeah,
Dr.
Demira
Brady?
or someone else in their department, just to kind of stay up on what's going on and to make it cohesive so that Senate can potentially partner with them.
Okay, something to think about in the update this year. Oh, we don't have any time for you to respond to that. It was really.
Oh, it
important
wasn't really
comment.
a,
So she was
I
just.
just, I wanted to toot your horn because I've,
Oh, that's funny. It's like the old school way of saying, "Please toot your horn."
this kid.
Okay, with that, if we're ready to vote.
Yep, so I put the link in the chat. That's gonna be the easiest. Something's actually broken on the computer, so I can't actually make the QR code any bigger.
We can't zoom in or like.
If I zoom, no, I'm legitimately stuck. There's something up with this. It is really, really weird. It was telling me that PNG, like all the formats for photos aren't available. Like the computer says we no longer carry this.
Zoom, 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 zoom.
But again, if you want to just click the link that's in the
Got it.
chat, it also works. Just take 30 seconds. I'm gonna take this down here in a second. I know we normally work pretty quickly. Xander's here.
That's what I thought. I'm gonna get food.
All right, I am stop sharing. Then but 10 seconds, if you want to come up here. Sure, we can verify.
Is that there? Oh,
I will turn it on, but here, take this.
Bring it back.
No, like 10?
There was at least 10. I think there's 12 though.
Money on mine.
Okay.
Because you Bring it, Reese cup. Yeah, that's the one I bought though.
What do you mean you can't vote online? You can just come tell me that.
And you have the receipt.
I can
vote?
Yeah, I know that. You just vote for yourself.
It's okay, I'll just.
I forgot to ask.
Traditionally, people do abstain.
All right.
We have 15.
15?
Yes.
Oh, damn.
Oh, 15 whoops.
Oh, we got to submit the rest. Again, if you want to vote.
Okay, yeah.
It's in the chat. You just click it and it'll go right to the.
You can
form
choose
for
to
you.
abstain or just like leave it. So
Yeah.
are you gonna leave it?
I think I'm gonna leave it.
I think he's talking to me, right?
We're talking to Andy too.
You're supposed to vote for yourself.
Yeah, be like, I'm trying to get this done quick, so.
No.
Five,
It's okay, we'll count down 5 seconds.
2.
Hold on. Can I make a motion to extend
No. Motion not recognized. We're
I
fine.
would, but we are
It's fine, the timing.
actually, well.
Form not working for
percent.
you?
No, I know. Okay, all right, so, it's secret ballot majority vote, and majority has voted that Andy will now become our next inclusion one coordinator. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
Here we go.
If it were contentious.
Andy, we'll talk when we get back from spring break.
Sounds good.
Picture.
Here, hand him this.
Hey, wait. Give me the flags.
The flags. How do I hold it? Close to my side?
Yeah.
We're doing Brent next, correct?
What's next on there? No, we'll read through Bill 3 and then I guess Brent's next. Maybe it would have made more sense to put him, but
Okay.
is that bad?
No, it's fine. I had to be on the road by 6:40 because of my kid.
I make a motion to move Brent up on the agenda.
I mean, unless,
I was,
I don't know if that works because the agenda is already approved. How do we do this? How do we do this?
I
There's
make a motion
procedural
to
way.
amend the agenda.
No, you can't do that. What you can do is
Can we
we
just
can
table?
table something, yes. We can table for one thing. That's how you would do it. You can't amend the agenda after it's
Okay.
been approved. But yes, we can table it. Motion to table?
Yes.
Second, moving up like priority, right? Yeah. I'll second that.
Basically, you can't move it up priority. You can only delay priority.
Yeah.
I mean.
It's a
yeah,
procedural
yeah.
thing, yeah. So, motion to table. You second that?
I second.
Okay, second over there. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those sorry, just voting unanimous approval. No one's opposed to that. Otherwise, we can have further discussion. Hearing none in 5, 4, 3, 2. Let me just go to this meeting. There isn't anyone online that says that, right? 1. Okay, approved. Okay, we can move next to, because that's tabled to the next item. General Senator application for Brent West. Come on down. We're gonna move to that model of 2 minutes and 3 minutes. So let me just pull up my timer here. Does Cole need to be in the room? He knows how to come back, so that's fine. Anyway, so let me know when you're ready. We'll put you on clock for 2 minutes.
All right, I hope this is appropriate. Go ahead. I first attended Madison College 25 years ago, approximately. In 2024, 64% of college students reported experiencing significant mental health issues, according to the College Student Mental Health Statistics in 2024. My name is Brent West. I have lived experience with mental health issues. I know firsthand how these issues, and I'm also a survivor of brain cancer. I know firsthand how these issues have impacted my life and my student experience and how it has affected the lives of others. With more than half of students and presumably a great number of faculty and staff here at Madison College experiencing neurodivergence, I feel that I have something meaningful to bring to this conversation. Part of this could be bringing awareness to the reality of neurodivergence in our schools and in our lives. I believe that by creating awareness of topics such as mental health stigma, we may be able to bridge the gap in student experience for neurodivergent students and faculty. Stigma refers to a strong negative attitude, prejudice, or false belief associated with specific traits, circumstances, or health conditions leading to discrimination or social exclusion. Stigma affects those with mental illness negatively when others presuppose false negative attributes to a person or people exhibiting mental health symptoms. I'm interested in working on these issues and others with those of you who have done work in this area and/or are interested in working with me in this area. I have identified that due to my lived experience with mental health issues, this is an area of interest for me. I'm also interested in making the college experience more equitable for all in ways that I can. Thank you.
Okay, that's pretty much time. We can move on to the question period. So 3 minutes starting now. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
My strengths, I'm very intelligent. I got tested by Mensa about 12 years ago, and I'm 120 IQ, which is above like 91% of the population. I have a lot of different interests. I've been in school for off and on for 25 years, and I've learned about a lot of different things. So I bring a lot of different facets of life to the Senate. One of my weaknesses is due to my broad spectrum of interests, I tend to overcommit and underdeliver. So I would ask for your help and accountability in terms of keeping my commitments and with regard to the Senate.
And you mentioned, Senator, ask a question. Sure, Matt.
I guess I just have a question about, or maybe I should just, I'll say it like this. I'm really interested in working, or the Senate working on how the disability system here works at the college. A lot of people don't know this, but the first response I received from the disability rights was to drop out this semester because I was having knee surgery. And of course, I told them where to go, nicely though. And then the second response was, we can give you 1 day grace period. And there was just a lot of confusion. So figuring out how to get that information more equitably presented to students, I think would be something that would be really meaningful. So it's more, I guess, of a statement and just letting people know that I really went through the ringer with having to have knee surgery, and Cole and I talked about it briefly, but
Okay.
it came up here.
Okay, let's stick to questions here. Sorry about
Sorry.
that. I guess my question is, what has been your experience with mental health issues that you said that you wanted to work on? What was your personal experience with it?
I have worked with the Disability Resource Center as well, and I've found them to be helpful in terms of like extending deadlines for me that made this semester much more doable for me. But could you repeat the question?
What was you said you had personal experience with like working with mental health issues. What was the experience that you had that led you to want to work on it?
Well, one of the things I've experienced in my personal life outside of medicine college is that when I have been symptomatic, I have not necessarily been able to communicate my needs and interests in the most autonomic way. So I have not been able to effectively express my needs and interests when I've been symptomatic.
What did you do to work on it?
What I do to work
Yeah,
on it?
what have you done to work on it since?
Try to be clear in my communications and try to be fully present with the people I'm with when I'm with them. Try not to get too stressed out in the heat of the moment, because stress for me has historically been a place where I've had trouble, and I've worked on it in the past 10 years, working on mindfulness meditation and other practices that help me have a better sense of staying present with people when I'm with them. So that's basically what I try to do.
Okay. Yeah, that was all the time we have. So at this point, I guess we can move to the vote. Thank you.
All right, should be in the chat again. Anybody? And then, all right, we'll try it again. I can't zoom in. Sorry. As much as I can. Get. Please and thank you. All right, I'm gonna take this down about 15 seconds.
I think people are having trouble getting that.
I'm gonna submit a ticket for this computer. The fact that no photos work on this level. JPEG, PNG, GIF, all that does not work. Use the computer.
No.
Never. Never had that happen before.
Are you sure it's not your account?
No, because I have the same access rights in this computer as I do on my computer.
Yeah.
So it says it's literally something with the software.
Yes.
I need to update or update.
Throw it all window.
Okay, let's see.
Haven't tried it yet.
Should be.
This one?
I think it's that one. Yeah.
Second. All right, let me take it down.
We should have a vote from online because some issues with the
Yeah, what's
it was just wasn't working on the phone. So that's why I had to say I shift to computer.
Anybody want the other half of my receipt cups?
I'll take
I
it.
don't need it, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to withdraw? I love receipts. They're my
I do
favorite.
too. And I'm
All right.
trying to
Favorite.
slow down the sugar.
You only went to.
All righty, so in the vote for Brett West to be senator at large for us, the vote does pass, and so Brent is our new senator at large. Congratulations. If you want to come on up here, I will hold this, and then Hassan will swear you in. So you can go there.
I invite Brent West to be sworn in as senator to come to the front of the room. I'll read the oath of office, then call you on, Brent, to affirm the oath of office. Please place your left hand in the air as you affirm the oath of office and raise your right hand. Once
There you go, just do that, you're good.
Once you have been sworn in, please go to Advisor Cole to sign your agreement to serve in the near future. When you're done taking the oath, please continue on the meeting with us as a new senator. You solemnly swear to do your civic duty, serve your college, your community, and most importantly, your fellow students in democratic fashion. You swear to treat all people equally and fairly, and that you will strive to create a student senate which is welcoming to everyone. You swear to listen, speak out, and act in which way will empower all students. Brent West, having heard the oath of office, do you swear to carry all of these tasks as the best of your ability as a general senator?
I do.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Congratulations. Awesome. We have a seat at the table. What is? You are like,
Yep. Okay, so you can, I guess you're going?
yeah, oh, do you want me to pull up your bill quick?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
As you can start with that.
Hold on for this.
Oh, okay. So the one I have looks like it has edits on it, so that's okay. It's got like an edit column for like.
Oh,
comments.
did
That's
I
the old
not
one.
have, that's fine.
Okay, I have that one, so I'll just pull it up here quick. Share.
I do, you need a motion to untable that?
No, because we tabled it to a certain point.
We are.
Not Parliament.
Can you just move this up here so when Kai wants to scroll down? Just
Oh, ooh, you've been promoted, Clint.
gotta scroll.
Wow.
Okay, we're just gonna read through this. Bill number 3, Senate election tiebreaker. The goal is to just read it with feedback after spring break. So Student Senate will amend the bylaws to have an official procedure on how to break a tie in the Senate election results. Yep, and that's pretty much basic stuff. The formal motion is the bylaws will be amended to add a new subsection to update the elections policy, provide an official procedure for how to select a Senate member in the case of a tie during the Senate election under Article 7 elections. Article 7, Section 3 does reference a procedure for how to address contested election events, but there is no explicit language that specifically addresses how to act in the event of a tie vote count result during the election. The issue was discussed in a meeting of the Rules and Legislative Affairs Committee on Wednesday, March 5th, 2025, and members generally agreed that it would make sense to have the current members of Student Senate vote on the position, given that they also have the authority to vote on new members that wish to join during the semester. In order to break the tie, traditional Robert's Rules methods should be used to preserve consistency between our practices. For the reasoning listed above, we, the members of Student Senate, believe that this elections policy should be updated to ensure the best possible candidates can be elected to serve the student body on our Madison College campuses. Scroll down. Section 2, the bylaw revision. The bylaw shall be amended to read the following. Article 7, we're going to add in Section 3, a tiebreaker procedure. In the event of a tie during the election votes tally, if multiple candidates are unable to be selected for the same position, then the current Student Senate members will vote to select the winner of the election. Senate must make a tiebreaker decision at the next available General Assembly meeting. The meeting must be scheduled within 2 weeks of the time that the final Senate election results are published. Senate election candidates who are affected by the tied vote shall be notified by the Vice President of Legislative Affairs in communication with the President and advisor. Candidates should be noted within 24 hours of the time that the final Senate election results are published. Candidates will be invited to come to the next available Senate meeting to discuss this matter. Senate shall make reasonable scheduling accommodations to allow for a fair discussion where both candidates can make their cases. The Senate election candidates who are involved in the tie-breaking decision shall have the floor during a General Assembly meeting to provide a general platform statement regarding their candidacy for that specific role. Candidates must leave the room while other candidates are delivering their platform statements. Candidates may have up to 5 minutes to speak to the Senate. Each candidate will also be given the opportunity to answer 3 questions which have been approved by the Senate Executive Council. Candidates may have up to a total of 5 minutes to answer the 3 questions. In the event that a candidate answers all the questions, there's still remaining time. Senate members may ask follow-up questions to the candidate for additional clarification. Once the time is up, Senate members will take a confidential ballot vote to confirm the winner of the election. Senate members may choose to vote in favor of the eligible candidates or abstain from selecting a candidate. Officers and senators who are also candidates for office may not vote. In the event of a tie, the Senate shall enter discussion again until a majority decision is made. Next section, modify. This was currently Section 3. We're asking to move it to Section 4. And now it would read Section 4, contested elections. This is mostly in the bylaws currently, but there have been minor updates to it. Any appeal made to the Senate, oh, sorry, and to point out the underlined sections are the parts that have changes to them. So any appeal made to the Senate may have the following characteristics. Appeals can only be made by a candidate running for the office. Any appeal must be submitted in writing by email. Any candidate contesting the election must do so within 48 hours of the public announcement of the election results. The appeal should be submitted to the Vice President of Legislative Affairs along with the Senate President and Senate Advisor. That was the change there. The nature of the appeal must be clear and fit the following criteria: explicit violation of Madison College Student Senate Constitution and bylaws, fraud, abuse of any form of cheating which could have changed the outcome of the election. That was all there, but I changed some grammar, so that was already there. If explanations for what is being contested do not clearly fit the defined criteria, the Vice President of Legislative Affairs has the authority to reject it and will do so in written email communication. That was the only part I added to written email communication. Senate will vote to confirm members to the advisory committee, and this committee will be made up of 3 to 5 students who are unaffiliated with any candidates for office. Committee candidates will swear to act with no discrimination or bias. Administration and student life officials, as well as academic faculty, are welcome to suggest and recommend candidates for the committee. Once at least 3 candidates are chosen, a committee is finalized. The committee members will be presented for the appeal. The committee should vote to establish a chairperson to lead the process. Committee participants should be compensated by Student Senate for their time at the current rate of minimum wage per hour. The Senate President and Advisor shall act as ex officio members on this committee to help facilitate the proceedings. The committee shall evaluate any appeals under the contested elections criteria and applicable sections of bylaws and constitution, provided all members of the committee and candidates in the question before the meeting. Number 1, each candidate questions 20 minutes to present information with no interruptions, and they may have the assistance of 1 other person. The candidate who lodged the complaint shall present first, followed by any defendants referencing the complaint. Each candidate will have 10 minutes to respond to the statements of their opponents. The advisory committee should make a recommendation within 24 hours of final testimony. The committee will go into closed session for discussion, evaluation of the complaints. Next page, please. Mr. Quinn, Mr. Mattson. The committee must also take a final vote to the recommendation for the approval of the entire committee. Committee chair will communicate the recommendation of the committee to the student Senate President, Vice President of Legislative Affairs. The committee meeting will be recorded by audio video for record keeping purposes. The committee recommendation is non-binding recommendation, so the Senate retains the final decision after the committee makes its final recommendation. And that part it was non-binding to begin with. I just added why it was. After Senate receives the recommendation, the complaint is sent to the General Assembly for 2/3 closed ballot vote to either uphold the election result or schedule a new election. That part, the last part, is what I added because I thought that clarified things. Only the votes of senators and officers attending the meeting matter. Seated officers and senators who are candidates for office may not vote. We're almost done here, so bear with me. If the Senate votes for new elections, the election should take place 1 week from the final Senate vote on the advisory panel's recommendation. If both candidates still wish to run, they may do so. The new election will consist of the same number of days as the original, and all regular election rules will apply. Once the election result is held, the matter is over. The individual is officially elected, and the election result can no longer be rescinded. The complaint cannot be brought to the Senate again for discussion. You may notice I read through this fairly fast. I can read faster. I am able to do that. But this is mainly because we're reading it now. So thank you. So next week, we can actually just vote on it. This week, we're not going to vote on it unless people really want to, but I don't recommend it. So body can do what they want, but I recommend just letting it go to the next section. Any questions, points, anything burning they want to say now, or we'll move on? Too fast? Yeah, that's true. A little bit. I can go faster. We've done it before, and that was there when I read through a bill real fast. But the point of this was to get it read through so that the next week we have discussion. There's a rule about bills being read in, and the voting procedure on it. So just introducing it now before spring break is really good, so that the week after we can actually get into the talk about it. Yes, Senator Rapper.
So I saw at the end it said once an election has been upheld, it
Yes.
cannot be brought up again.
No double jeopardy, basically.
How does that factor in with the motion to reconsider?
Sorry?
In Robert's rules, how does that factor in with the motion to reconsider?
The bill takes priority over that.
Okay.
Yeah, because basically it's the bylaws. So Robert's rules are a way for enacting bylaws. So if the bylaws say no, then Robert's rules, you can't do it. Yeah, that supersedes it. Is that the word I'm looking for? Yeah, it supersedes any Robert's rules motions. So that wouldn't be rescinded.
So then it's not upheld after a motion to reconsider, it's no motion to reconsider.
You wouldn't have a motion to reconsider because the bylaws would state that it can't.
Okay.
So, yeah, so another way we could have had a next motion, we could have rescinded the motion for the agenda. So you can technically do that, I believe. for that one. So we could have done it that way and then amended it there, but then, it just gets messy and people don't traditionally do that. Unless, once it's passed so far through. So, yeah, and then as a chair, I can reject it, but you can, I don't know, there's ways to overturn that too even, so. But, let's not get to that. So generally we try not to, but that's why. So any other questions about the bill? From anyone? No? Okay.
Are we still at quorum?
Yes.
Okay.
We have enough. Okay, moving on. Madison College President Search Student Forum questions. The idea was to get people to have questions ready for the presidential forum. I don't know if we're going to have that. So maybe people can submit questions like now, because we have to send it.
When is the first meeting?
Monday, March 24th.
Spring after this?
March 24th.
It's the next week.
That's the week after spring break.
Oh, it's the week. Okay.
Yep. We're not gonna do it during spring.
Yeah, I
break.
don't know. I was gonna say.
That would be bad. I would have complained a lot. Me and Annette both could, because we're, on that committee.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of what it is. So I guess just submit to us, if you can submit that sooner rather than later, because they're gonna be wanting collecting responses next week. I know it's your spring break, but if you wanna, have your voice represented at those forums, that's the only way to do it. So I'll submit some questions. I'm sure Annette will accept the role. You're on the committee, so I think it's okay to say that. You'll do that, but if anyone wants to just email Cole questions that they would like to be read out at that, I think that would be good. Cole, don't you need to go, or?
I just got, I'm okay right now.
Oh, okay. Well, that's it then. Do people have anything quick they want to say about it, or?
Well, who's the first person gonna be?
Don Krim, I believe. Is that the first person, right, on
Yep.
Monday?
Yeah, I actually have it. Yeah, I have an email for that too. I haven't sent out yet.
You already sent it.
Did I really?
You did.
Cool, I sent that out already.
Yeah, you did.
Don.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yep.
that Monday is,
Monday's Don Krim, I
yes,
believe.
you're correct.
Yeah, and then no, it's not Jennifer. I do believe it's Don Krim, and then Tim Casper, and then Jennifer, and then Charles.
Yeah,
Same as the
Leffer.
last one.
Oh, yeah, I said that.
There is a list that you can search.
That's what I said, right?
No, you said he would. Yeah.
Said Don Krim, then Jennifer, then Charles, and then Tim. No?
Yeah, you said after,
Really?
after Don, you said Tim.
Oh, I was
You
thinking.
want me to just say it real
otherwise.
fast?
Yeah.
So Monday, the 24th is Don Krim. Wednesday, the 27th, Thursday, the 27th, Charles Lepper.
Oh, that was all.
Monday, the 31st is Jennifer Byrne, and then April 2nd, that Thursday, is Tim Casper.
Wow, I was way off. Well, thanks for correcting me on that.
DS16, where's the room?
D1630, the
D1630.
big one downstairs.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and it's good for them to have the questions beforehand, and I'm gonna make some recommendations on how they actually run it, because I don't want people running over questions and not taking audience questions. So who's gonna be administering that? I'm guessing it's Ellie.
I think Ellie plays a role, but there's a whole, outside the, I think there's another committee that's assisting with that.
Mhm.
Because some people, one of those days is the, take your kid to work day. And whoever that committee is, that's coordinating just getting them to campus, like booted a bunch of people out and everything like that to figure it out.
Oh, booted people out.
They're supposed, before this was announced, take your kid to work day was supposed to operate in D1630.
Yeah.
The president forum obviously takes precedence, so
Oh,
a bunch of stuff got moved, but I don't know who's the point person for that.
oh, well, I hope that
Or
they
to
found
take your
another
kids to
room.
work day, that would be
Yeah,
Rhoda.
it's like a little.
Well,
little
Rhoda
bad.
didn't have a whole bunch of children.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, right? The way you worded that, that's interesting. I mean, that's certainly a way to think about it. So interesting.
Are they still separating out and having a student forum?
There's a bunch.
There's a bunch of
There's
them.
like 4 separate ones each day. There's information on the student, like the student Madison College page of
Okay.
everything.
Yeah. So we've had questions. What initiatives would you, I'm assuming, bring to the table to support student needs? What is your plan to address student housing concerns? And we can ask questions like that. I'm going to ask Ellie to bring up the questions that we wrote out for the provost and just see if we can apply them to the, some of them at least to the Madison College president, because I think I have a list of questions I sent out there too. So I'll make sure to send it out in this chat. But Annette, do you have anything that you would think is really important to ask?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay, I think,
I'm
okay,
tired.
Sam first.
Well, it's just a general question.
Yes.
Another student also asked me, if Dr. Casper was here for like the last 30, 20 years or something, and he's running for the president, why he just doesn't become the president, as he has the full experience of Madison College, and like he's the current president of, technically, the current president.
Interim, yeah.
Interim, yeah, so. like-
Because of hiring practices, this is a job if you think about it, so you can't just hire like
Yeah.
someone out of nowhere.
You can't just jump into it. He has to be You have to.
Yeah, you have to get hired. The board has final say on it, so that's why they appointed him as interim, but they wanted to make sure there's a fair hiring
Yeah.
process. Think about this, like, think about all like the nepotism that exists, like just hiring family members out of
Yep.
nowhere. There are fair labor practices and hiring standards are one of them. So we try to have fair hiring standards for like the best person to really be picked. And, you know, the idea is that if he really is the best person, then it shouldn't matter, right?
Right,
Right, so that's kind of the idea.
That's literally what Dr. Daniels and I talked about his last day. He said, we want someone student-centered, someone who has the best qualifications and
Yep.
with student-centered, having students in mind in all areas of the college.
Okay, Lando, write that down for your note taking.
Sorry.
Write that down. That's your note down. Okay, do you believe it's justifiable to raise costs for students?
When do
That's
you
a fun-
believe it's
Oh,
justified?
when do you believe it's justifiable? Yeah.
Right, they have to give a specific scenario.
Scenarios. Yeah, that's interesting. I like that question. Pile on support for that one. Wait, I don't heart that. I feel like it's a fire emoji, so we'll give that one there. Okay, anyone other burning questions? Otherwise, we can move on for now. Please email Cole by like next week, what, Wednesday, should we say? Put it
Yeah,
down.
when is the due date? It's on.
I feel like Wednesday would be a due date that like, you know, Ellie could reasonably get it together and then send it to like Wednesday at noon if we said, like, send it to Ellie by Wednesday at noon and then she could put it together and have it to the hiring committee.
Let me look it up.
By Thursday. You keep working on
I have
that.
a
You speak
question.
next.
Ask them about how they're looking to implement halal food on the campus for certain people.
Sure.
We can include that. You might have to go broader because
Yeah, I feel
that's
like-
what's gonna end up happening is they're gonna take your question and make it broader for inclusivity and accessibility on campus. So I would go broader as to what
Okay.
are you doing to increase insert X, Y, Z.
Sure.
We could ask like, how are you taking student input?
Sorry.
There you go.
I think you could still say like, hey, you know, I'm working on an issue to bring halal food on campus. Well, how do you plan to incorporate student needs like mine to implement better food, like nutritious and inclusive food options on campus, right? You take your specific point and then you broaden it to apply to all students. That's the way to make your issue matter to everyone. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just some suggestions, but you won't be asking the questions. It'll be Ellie because of, I don't know how that's set up. So go ahead and put your questions there. But people put a lot of stuff. Thanks, Declan. That always gives me a laugh. Okay, well, with that, I think we've had enough discussion points, so we have something. Okay, one last thing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think we should definitely include some questions in regards to shared governance.
Mhm.
Because we want someone at some point.
Yes, and everyone was vetted for certain standards, and this is
Yeah.
not revealing anything. Shared governance was one of the standards with which we both rated candidates and hired them based on. So all of them have been vetted and discussed about shared governance, and that's not a secret because that was part of the open hiring guidelines that people applied to. So I'm allowed to say that in a public forum. Okay, with that, we can move on. Non-business and housekeeping. Student Success Awards are due this Friday. If you have, has everyone like submitted a Student Success Award? I know I have. Nevada, you submitted a Student Success Award. Did everyone submit a Student Success Award?
I haven't passed, but I'm gonna do it.
Well, you're gonna do it now?
I'm gonna do it.
Everyone should submit for Organization of the Year Award Student Senate.
There is
Cole,
Organization of the Year?
Yes, you should apply for us
Oh,
to
yeah,
get it.
Student
Because
Senate.
we've done the most.
Yeah.
I really do think we've done
I
the most.
think there's
out of all
only
of them.
Club of the Year.
No, there's Organization
There
of the
is?
Year as well.
Yeah. What about?
Did you send the stats to me? It's fine if I don't have it.
No one got me anything.
That's fine. I'll work on it tonight and I'll submit, but that is my promise to submit for Organization of the Year. Because we've done a lot. And I think it's really important to talk about, you know, like what Student Senate is doing for the campus, the questions we're asking, and how we're getting this information like forward to the students. And we are making differences because this is the most, you know, administration complained like, damn, are we gonna have to do, you know, Kai, I know you're leaving, but now we're gonna have to deal with all the people that are, you know, gonna be like you asking us questions. So it's really interesting. I guess you got people interested. So I thought that was really, you know, people were calling me annoying, but I take that as a compliment. So I think that's good. And Annette balances me out. So hopefully next year we have a person that as, I don't know, forward as I am about asking questions and a person like Annette who's nice enough to balance it out. And hopefully they'll learn from each other, just like we have. So, yeah, although I don't think you're fiery like me. I think I just learned from you. So, so that's how that works
That's
out.
why I incorporated you in my speech.
I know, and that's why I said, I thought, what would Annette do? So I think, yeah, we can all learn from Annette. So that's how it goes. Okay, our next meeting will be on Thursday, March 27th in room C242 at 4:30 p.m. We have a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Senator Crowder. Second by Senator Moreno Portillo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions?
Bye.
Motion adjourned. Okay, meeting adjourned at 6:54 PM. Boom.
Good night.
Have a great week, everyone.
You too.
You too. I think I'll get you.
Thanks. See you guys.
What up, you?
Oh, okay. Let me say something out.
That was
to the
just-
Senate about tabling the election.
I was gonna ask about that too, because I